Hello and welcome to episode 38 of the ABC podcast. My name is Alex and I am joined by Brandon Park the Herald Angel Sings. It's Christmas time, so you can't get mad at me.
I don't think it works like that.
I'm pretty sure it does.
But no, it doesn't work like that. But I'll just give it to you just because you're so proud of yourself, I guess. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, yeah, it is officially cold weather in Houston. It got down to the 30s earlier this week.
The winter has come.
Yeah, you could say that, but it's supposed to get back into the 70s like tomorrow.
Which I saw, which is really weird. It's really strange because I was complaining about it the other day because I realized I was really lacking in my winter wardrobe. But at the same time, I really enjoyed it because, finally, it's December. We get cold weather.
Yeah.
And what do you know? Houston has to just
needs to make up its mind.
Slap us in the face and say, nah. We're going to take you back all the way up to the 70s.
Anyway, that's been the most interesting part of my week was actually getting to enjoy some nice cold weather. Other than that, nothing really exciting happened for me.
Did you actually enjoy it? Or did you just
did
you go out in your spare time on a walk in the park and enjoy the weather?
No, I don't think so. It was just like walking to the car into my apartment. Yeah.
And then to work and back and forth.
Yeah.
Let's see, what's been the most interesting time of my week? Probably taking all of my finals.
That's fun.
One more final left.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, I took 3 finals this week.
Were they all on the same day?
2 were on the same day. One was the day after, but it was at 8 a.m. in the morning.
Oof.
I know. Pulled an all-nighter, just... Oh,
they ain't like they used to be.
I know. They really aren't, because usually I'm like, okay, by the end of it, but this one I was just dying.
You're just showing signs of your old age.
I know, it sucks. I thought this was supposed to be the prime time of my life.
I think you passed that already.
Yeah.
It only goes down from here. Yeah. Trust me.
Is that what you tell yourself?
Yeah, I do.
That really sucks, actually.
Yep. Well, on that happy note, let's talk about some more interesting things that people might actually care about. So, the time has finally come. I'm very not surprised. I'm just very emotional getting to this point. But we've come to the letter Z in our ABCs of Geekdom segment. I started this. This wasn't one of the original segments we had when we first started the show. I kind of came to this around, it was like before episode 10, I think, somewhere like in that neighborhood. And we've had a few weeks off when we did like special episodes and stuff. And in the beginning, I actually forgot to do it a couple times. So that was fun to look back on those days. But yeah, we're all the way through the alphabet. So it's Brandon's turn to pick. So Brandon, for the letter Z, what are we going to talk about?
So I have decided for our very last one, not our last one forever, but for this time,
for this cycle,
is going to be Zoidberg.
I kind of figured.
Mm-hmm. So, John Zoidberg, mostly known as Zoidberg from the show Futurama, is Planet Express's on-hand doctor and physician. Mm-hmm. He is responsible for the health and care of all the employees, as well as making sure that everybody's on tip-top shape and ensuring that his services is always present. On that note, it is shown that he's actually a terrible doctor. To humans, though. Because he has little to no understanding of the human body or anatomy.
Right, because he's not an MD, right? He's got a PhD in something.
I don't remember the details, but the thing is, which I thought was hilarious, that he's a brilliant doctor in every other species in the galaxy. Mm-hmm. He just doesn't understand humans.
Yeah.
And the reason he's with Planet Express is, and I won't spoil it for you guys, it's just he and Professor Farnsworth go way back in the day, and he owed Zoidberg a favor, and he said, will you come, work with my company? And Zoidberg was like, of course, yeah. And that's the story of how Zoidberg got started with Planet Express. Mm-hmm. And Zoidberg has to be one of my favorite characters on the show. Yeah,
he's my favorite character.
And it's just, he's so funny and ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I feel so bad for him all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Just because everybody hates him. And they just give him crap all the time because either of his incompetence, his smell, or both or something else.
His general lack of common manners. So I recently started rewatching Futurama. Shout out to everyone who voted in my Twitter poll. And I noticed that later on in the series, they really double down on the Jewishness characteristics of his personality. It's kind of not very present at the beginning, and then later on
there's some subtle hints, but then, like when you really get into it,
and then they like start like putting Yiddish into his speech, and like his uncle
I think that's the first time you really get like a big introduction to that.
Yeah, so it's just funny that the way he evolved like that is just weird.
I love how he pronounces robot. He pronounces robot. It's like, oh, my good friend Bender. And plus, like, he's old. I love how like he sometimes there's like excretes like these fluids out of him. Either it's ink or some kind of really weird like mush out of it. Oh, it's really gross. But Zoidberg is so freaking funny.
Yeah, and he does these weird things like he like when he runs out of a room, he'll like clack his claws.
Scuttle, yeah.
Like, whoop, 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 whoop. And like he's got, or his species I should say, they have this like
fin.
Yeah, thing that comes up out of their head and like little tentacles that come out of their armpits and stuff. It's just really like disturbing because most of the time he's wearing, his like clothes to
his doctor suit.
Yeah. But then like sometimes he'll get naked and it's like uncomfortable. Like it's animated, so it's not super weird, but it's also like
when you think about it.
Yeah.
Fun fact, apparently when his species came to Earth, it was because of them that during the timeline of Futurama, the anchovy is extinct because they ate all the anchovies on Earth.
Except for one can.
Don't spoil that for them. I love that episode.
Do you have a favorite episode revolving around Zoidberg?
There's so many.
Or like just a favorite line?
There's so many. I can base it on 3.
Okay.
So one of them is when Hermes, he decides that he needs to get cybernetic implants. So he tries to become Mecha Hermes.
Okay.
And Zoidberg, he thinks that Hermes is his friend, even though Hermes hates him the most out of everybody in Planet Express. And so every time that Hermes replaces his body part with a robot part, Zoidberg gets the human parts and he starts... I'll leave it at that. Then there's also the episode when it's shown about the history of Zoidberg and Professor Farnsworth. Mm-hmm. And I really like that just because it shows that there's more to Zoidberg than we really know. Mm-hmm. And it's a tie for the third one when Zoidberg, he gets into a fight with Clams from the Robot Mafia. It just showed how much of a badass that Zoidberg could be. It was either that one or the episode when Zoidberg finds a woman that's actually interested in him.
Oh, yeah.
That one was actually a really good one.
It was sad, though.
But it had so many feels to it, though, which I really loved about Futurama. What I really love about Zoidberg, and I say so much about that, but there's so much to love about Zoidberg because, why not Zoidberg?
Exactly.
Is that he eats everything.
Yeah.
Like, he'll literally eat, like, this mouse that's in front of me, like a computer mouse. He'll go ahead and eat it. Well, he'll actually eat a real mouse, too, but he eats everything. Like, the episode, I saw, like, there's, like, a random part of an episode when he was playing chess, and he just ate all of the pieces. I don't know how he can do that.
My favorite episode, so like the most memorable one for me, it's not my favorite because it's pretty sad. It's the one where they travel back to his home planet for like the mating ritual.
Oh,
and he can't find anybody. That was pretty sad.
And then he fights Fry.
Yeah,
because he thinks Fry stole his potential mate.
Yeah. But my favorite episode, and this one isn't really about him, he's just like in it. It's the one where they travel back to like the 50s and Fry meets his grandmother.
Yeah,
and
I know what
the
you mean.
U.S. Army captures him and they're trying to do these experiments on him, but he thinks they're just trying to be friendly, and so he's like not understanding like what's happening. I just thought that's like really funny.
This is one part of that episode when they're interrogating him and he has like the biggest smile on his face, and they're like, I don't get this alien, like why isn't he like doing this and doing that, and they just like they get so fed up with Zoidberg.
Yeah, good times. Okay, well, I think that's all we have to say about Dr. Zoidberg.
If you haven't seen Futurama, you should really watch it.
Yeah,
it's a great show.
Super funny.
Mm-hmm.
Who voices Zoidberg? It's not one of, like, it's not Billy West, right?
No, it's not Billy West. No, actually, it is Billy
Oh,
West.
really?
It's Billy West.
Man, that guy's amazing.
I know. Wow. Never would have guessed that.
Me neither.
Oh, all right. One last random Zoidberg trivia fact. Did you know that he can grow hair?
Really?
Yeah. If he's really, really frightened or scared, he'll just grow hair out of his head. So he'll have this incredibly luscious mane on the top of his head. How did they come up with this species? That's just so...
Who knows? All right, well, that was super exciting. So next week, you all can look forward to starting over with the letter A, because I was thinking about, like, do we need to do, like, numbers and stuff, but that wouldn't really make sense. So we're just going to start back.
I don't know how we would do that, really.
Yeah, I mean, like
it would go on for a couple of times, but it would be increasingly hard, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, that's something to look forward to, I guess, if you care about this segment at all. But in the meantime, we are going to do some corrections. So, first correction I have here is actually not from the previous episode. It's from 2 episodes ago. We were talking about Unkar Plutt, and I was talking about the time when Ray showed up to trade in her stuff, and he saw BB-8, and he offered her the food in exchange for taking BB-8. That number was 60 portions.
Okay.
So for reference, the first time we see her go to Unkar to trade for food, he gives her 1/4 portion, and that's enough to feed her, for the night. Probably not like a full meal or anything, but it's enough to get by. Sustain her. Yeah. So 60 portions, that's like a lot of food.
A fun fact I found out about Unkar Plutt? I don't know how I stumbled upon this, but apparently in a deleted scene, he tracks down Ray to Maz-Katan's castle and tries to get the ship back. And Chewbacca comes in, and he takes off one of his arms. He literally, he loses an arm to Chewbacca. He rips it off.
That's hardcore.
I know, right? And I was reading it, wow. I kind of wanted to see that in the film.
I actually haven't seen The Force Awakens since it came out in theaters.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't watched it again.
I saw it 3 times.
I mean, I saw it twice in theaters.
Yeah.
But that's it.
3 times since then.
Oh. Are you going to watch it before Rogue One comes out? Or?
Probably not. It
doesn't really... It's not necessary.
I don't have the time. I don't have the time. Rogue One is coming out, really soon.
Yeah, next week, right?
Yeah, I'm seeing it on Thursday.
Yeah, I haven't bought tickets.
I was stuck in line buying my tickets. Online. I had multiple windows open for multiple times. It's I'm just trying to get whatever time I could get. Uh-huh. And then they just said, yeah, you were in line. It was a 15-minute wait for each window, and I had 4 windows open.
Are you going by yourself?
Huh? I'm going with my friend, Kayla.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
Usually I go to movies by myself, but this time I thought, let's go with a friend. Let's take a buddy.
Okay. Moving on. So this is back to our previous show. So we were talking about Yoshi as our ABCs of Geekdom subject for last time. And we were talking about games that Yoshi has appeared in which Mario has not appeared. So those include Yoshi's Story, which I did mention last time. I wasn't sure if Mario was in it. He's not. So that's a fun, cute little puzzle platformer almost. It's got a really unique art style, so it's cool. And then Yoshi Topsy Turvy, which is it's like a tile matching game. Or no, wait. Oh, no, sorry. So Topsy Turvy, that's a GBA game, and it comes with this special attachment that allows it to sense motion. So the more current so your iPhone has a gyroscope in it, right? That's why you can play games like Doodle Jump, how you tilt it to make it go side to side and jump up the thing. So this came with a device that essentially does the same thing. It allows it to detect motion. And so what you would do is, those little handheld games where the object is to get the ball through the maze and into the hole at the end. It's kind of like that, but you also have to knock out enemies using the tilting stuff. So it's kind of like that. And then Yoshi's Woolly World, which came out a couple years ago. It's in the art style of Kirby's Epic Yarn, if you're familiar with that. Basically, it's this world where everything is made out of yarn and felt material. It's this really very strange but also really nice looking aesthetic design, so it's really cool. Mario's not in that. And then Yoshi's Cookie, which is a tile matching game, sort of like Tetris, I guess. No, not really. That's not a tile matching game. Yeah. Tile matching game. And then the last one is Tetris Attack, which is like Tetris with Mario characters.
Have you played that?
No. I have regular Tetris, but not Tetris Attack. Somewhat infamously, I'm known as the guy who played on my 3DS during my graduation ceremony from college.
When I saw that, I oh my gosh, I've always had great respect for you, Alex. But when I saw that, it just not plummeted. It increased like sevenfold because just
look, man.
I'm like
graduations.
Boring. I was like seriously thought like it's for real. Like this man, give him a medal because they're so long.
Anyway, my point was that if anyone ever wondered, I was playing Tetris during graduation.
Oh, okay. I was always wondering what you played during that time. But once again, hat off to you, Alex.
Thank you.
Sorry I had to see my hat here.
Okay, in that same vein, we were talking about the games on the TI-84 Plus Silver Edition, the one that I have. Anyway, so that comes, it's called the Puzz Pack. Mm-hmm. Basically, like it doesn't have to just be on the TI-84. Like I was looking at it last night. You can download it for your computer. Anyway, so that comes with 4 games. The first one is Block Dude. That's the one I was talking about. I call it Block Man, but it's Block Dude. And then Dino Puzzle is the one that I couldn't remember. I just called it Dinosaur. That's the one that's like the game Yoshi. And then there's Puzzle Frenzy, which was this game where the blocks would move from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen, and what you had to do was you could flip horizontally adjacent blocks. You could flip them with each other, and then you had to line up 3 or 4 in a row to make them disappear, and so the object was to not let the blocks reach the other side of the screen. So that one got like really frantic and really fun, and it was just a lot of fun to do. I think that's probably the game that I put the most amount of time into, because the Dino Puzzle one was fun, but like it was not super challenging. Like it obviously, as it went on, like it did get faster and, you know, harder to play, but I felt like the Puzzle Frenzy one was more frantic and more fun. And then the last one is called Pegs. And this one was, there was a screen and you were this little like shape, and your object was to match all the other shapes on the screen to clear the screen and move on to the next level. So there was like circles and squares and triangles, and they all had like different properties. Like when you push 2 triangles together, it would form a square so that it would like block off anything. So if you needed to like move past it, you had to like figure out a way to like move the triangles around so that the resulting square wasn't blocking your way. So anyway, that one was really fun. Like Block Dude, there was like a set number of levels, so like it was possible to beat it, as opposed to like Puzzle Frenzy where it would just go on and on and on until you lose. So Pegs was fun, and I actually was able to beat that one. It was tough, like the later levels were pretty tough, but I did manage to beat it. And so like once I like perfected it, I could like speed through the whole game and beat it in like 10 minutes or something. Maybe not that fast, but you know what I mean. So that one was fun, but like after you figured out how to beat it, like there was no point, you know. So yeah, the only one I've never beaten is Block Dude. So maybe someday I'll just look up how to do it and beat it, just so I can say I did. Another thing I was looking at is how you can put other like games on your TI-84. Like it's really not hard. Like I saw one person, they put Flappy Bird Calculator.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that game.
Yeah. So
I forgot about that game.
I didn't. I've only ever played it like twice, and I was like, this is dumb, and I know I'll get addicted to it if I download it and keep playing it. So I stayed away from it.
Oh gosh, it was so bad. Like it was fun, but it was so bad.
Okay, next correction here is we were talking about Birdo from the Mario games. She is Yoshi's girlfriend. Something that I forgot to mention is that she was originally a bad guy, like an enemy character in the games. In Doki Doki Panic, which, as we discussed, was later reskinned to be Super Mario Bros. 2. Follow-up correction to that actually is the US version of Super Mario Brothers, the Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 2 later came out to the West. I called it Super Mario Bros. 2 The Lost Levels. It's actually just Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. Sorry about that.
It's okay. We all make mistakes.
Okay, and then the last Yoshi-related correction was the planet, the Yoshi planetoid that we talked about from Super Mario Galaxy. Remember, you go there and it's Yoshi's face, and that's the only Yoshi in the game. So that is found in the Space Junk Galaxy, and I said that you get there via warp pipe. That is incorrect. It's actually a launch star. Last week I only talked about sling stars. There's two kinds. A sling star is like a baby version of a launch star. A launch star will launch you, like it'll go really, really far. A sling star is for like short distance travel. So my apologies.
Apology accepted.
Thank you. Next correction. We were talking about the reveal of Empoleon in Pokken Tournament, and I said that so we were talking about how it looks like he has hair or feathers or whatever. I said that in the trailer it looked like he had hair. Obviously we didn't get a trailer. What I meant to say was in the reveal for Empoleon. So sorry for the confusion. I hadn't watched the trailer at the time. We actually have a trailer now, which we'll talk about later on in the news segment, but I meant to say in the reveal. Okay, next thing. We were talking about the Detective Pikachu movie, right? And
the one you want to be really dark.
yeah. So I was talking about the actor who plays the detective in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is a great movie if you've never seen it. Have you ever seen it?
I haven't. Don't give me that look.
It's a good movie.
You should know this by now.
Yeah, I should. Anyway, the actor who plays the name of the detective is Eddie Valiant, and the name of the actor is Bob Hoskins. So we lost him 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember when he passed away, but he is deceased. So R.I.P. Mr. Hoskins. I will always remember your fantastic, very underrated role in the Super Mario Brothers movie. All right, next thing is that Billy Dee Williams played District Attorney Harvey Dent in the 1989 movie Batman, not the sequel to said movie Batman Returns. He was not in that movie. I don't think they ever... You know what? I won't say if there's an explanation or not, because I don't want to have to look up a correction, so we'll just leave it at that. He's not in the movie. Okay, next thing is we were talking about Death Stranding, that super weird trailer, and you said that you thought it was Guillermo del Toro, who's the dude with the baby tank.
In the second trailer, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is correct, turns out. So
Yay.
So first of all, I should say I didn't really know what Guillermo del Toro looks like, because, you know, unless they're like a super, super famous director, you typically don't know what they really look like. Like, I could tell you what Steven Spielberg looks like. I could tell you what George Lucas looks like. I could tell you what...
Christopher Nolan.
I'm not even sure if I could tell you what Christopher Nolan
Really?
looks like. I maybe.
Okay.
But I don't know. No, I was going to say Alfred Hitchcock.
Okay.
Maybe a few others, but Jon Favreau. Like, any actor turned director, like, you know, Ben Affleck or something like that, I could tell you, but I don't know. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. Okay, so... Last week we were talking about the trailer for the upcoming movie Silence, and we were talking about the ban on Catholicism and Christianity in general in Japan.
So we're going to give them a little bit of history now.
Yeah.
It's a history podcast.
Yeah. So this is straight from the Wikipedia page.
Because that's always a reliable source.
Yep. So it says, Emperor Ogimachi issued edicts to ban Catholicism in 1565 and 1568, but to little effect. Beginning in 1587, the imperial regent Toyotomi Hideyoshi's ban on Jesuit missionaries, Christianity was repressed as a threat to national unity. After the Tokugawa shogunate banned Christianity in 1620, it ceased to exist publicly. So, there's your answer.
Thanks.
Now, I don't know what the difference between a shogunate and a dynasty is, so...
I'm sure the shoguns had a dynasty. It's just that in the hierarchy of politics in Japan back in the time, the emperor was on the top, but he was more of a figurehead during, I forgot which dynasty again.
Like the queen?
A little bit. And then the shogun had the most power. And then after a certain time, I forgot, it was like either the 1700s, late 1700s or 1800s, the emperor took the power back from the shogun. And
then there were 47 Ronin.
I actually have not seen that movie.
don't waste your time.
Really?
It's not good.
Really?
Yeah.
See, a lot of people say you should watch it.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. It's not a good movie. That doesn't mean it's not worth watching.
Okay.
But it's not a good movie. Anyway, next thing here is we were talking about the lady female actress who will be playing the main character in Star Trek Discovery, and we were talking about she was in one of the Mummy movies, the third Mummy movie specifically. Anyway, the name of that movie is The Mummy: Tomb of the Dragon Emperor.
That's the one with Jet Li, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All three Mummy movies the first three Mummy movies kind of run together for me, so I couldn't really tell them apart for you. And then there was the Mummy TV show, or cartoon, I should say.
I remember that, actually.
I really, really liked it. Yeah. Good times. Have you seen any of the Mummy movies?
I have not.
Okay.
I've only seen the Mummy cartoon.
Mm.
And then I found out that there's going to be a fourth Mummy, apparently.
We're going to talk about that later, too.
Yeah, I just found that out yesterday.
It was like rumored for a while, I think, and then we finally got confirmation, and now we have a trailer, so we'll be talking about that later on. Super duper. All right, next thing is we're talking about the Highlander reboot. So there have been a total of 6 movies, 3 TV series, and 1 animated series. Sorry, the animated series was one of the 3 TV series. I should have taken better notes. My apologies. Okay, next thing is we were talking about the Han Solo movie being more of a Western / heist feel to it. Anyway, the lady who gave us that wonderful information, her name is Kathleen Kennedy. She works for Lucas. Disney. I don't even know who she works for. I gotta look that up. Okay, next thing is... So we were talking about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Still looking forward to that game. One thing I said was that I thought it was a mistake for them to call it Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite versus Marvel instead of Marvel vs. Capcom 4. We didn't talk about that, so now I figure we should talk about it. But you go first. What do you think about Infinite versus a number?
I don't have too much to say on that. Mostly because, if I remember correctly, doesn't the 4 come up behind in the logo?
What do you mean?
Like, the title is right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say I saw, like, the number 4, like, behind the title of the game.
I don't believe so.
Either way, it's not too much of a concern for me. I understand why it would be easier to call it Marvel vs. Capcom 4, just because it sounds like a continuation. But when was the last one made? Do you remember?
Ultimate came out 2013, I want to say.
Okay.
Regular Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was 2011, I believe.
All right. So it's been a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they just wanted to try and change something up. I'm okay with the title. I'm not going to lose sleep over the fact that they changed it from, a number to a word. But honestly, I could have gone either way. I like how Infinite sounds like, probably because it's, they're including the Infinity Stones into the gameplay.
No, I mean, I understand their reasoning. For me, the reason that I don't like it is because it makes it sound like this is the last game in the series. Like, after this, we're not going to continue on anymore. Like, it's going to go on
that's
forever.
It, right?
It's going to be infinite. So I'm sure that's not the case, like, but it would be weird for the next one to be called, like, Marvel vs. Capcom 5, because from now on, like, they're not going to be able to revert back to numbers. They're going to have to call it something, crazy every time, so they could call it.
I don't think so. I think they could go back to numbers. I mean, I feel like they would get some backlash from that, but
it's possible.
I still see it happening though.
It would be like if they called the next God of War game, instead of just calling it God of War, if they called it God of War 4, I guess. It would just be weird. And, like, what are they going to call the game after this one? Because they're going to make one. Like, is they going to call it God of War 2? Because then that would get super confusing.
They start doing decimals, like 2.5 or 2 point, how many ever decimals you want after that.
This is not Kingdom Hearts, all right? They do not need to get that complicated with their naming schemes.
Oh, you'd be surprised. Of games nowadays.
I don't know. Anyway, so.
It's kind of like, quick tangent. It's like kind of with Assassin's Creed. So there's Assassin's Creed, right?
Right.
Then there's Assassin's Creed 2.
Right.
And then they don't go into 3. They go into Brotherhood, Revelations, and then they go into 3.
Right.
Then they go into 4, but then 4 also has a subtitle.
Right.
And then after that, they go on to different ones. So there's no Assassin's Creed 5 yet.
Right.
So I feel like it would be something like that.
Maybe.
It works for the Assassin's Creed titles. It wouldn't work for, like, other games, but for them it works. So it could possibly work for them. But I also feel like we're expending too much of our precious energy on this. Like, to figure out, like, what is the title gonna be, man? I need to know.
Okay. Next thing is, we were talking about how the battles are going to be 2v2 now, which I'm still kind of disappointed in, but whatever. So I was talking about how there might be, whether or not there are going to be assists in the game, because that's a huge part of the gameplay in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So it turns out there's not going to be assists. Basically, the developers felt that the Infinity Stones themselves are going to be your assists for the game.
Which is, I guess that's a fair...
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, but in Ultimate Marvel vs. Well, in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and then expanded upon in Ultimate, there was this mechanic called X Factor, which, depending on...
Do they sing? I'm sorry, that was a really lame joke, but I had to go for it.
No.
You can't see Mega Man having a sing off of Iron Man.
Mega Man's not in that game.
Oh, really?
No.
It's been a while since I played it. Ryu's in the game, though, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you can imagine Ryu having a sing off of Iron Man.
That I would play that game. Anyway, so depending on the number of characters you have left on your team, depends on how much of a boost you get. But in X Factor, your attack and your speed increase. You cannot take chip damage, which is basically under normal circumstances, when you're blocking an attack, you'll still take a smaller amount of damage from opponents' attacks. But in X Factor, you don't take any chip damage, and when you're not taking any damage, or when you're not being attacked, your red health, that's hard to explain, but basically you'll regenerate some of your health while you're out and while your active fighter is out. If your partner characters have taken damage but they're not in battle, they'll slowly recover their red health. But I believe in X Factor they recover their red health even faster when they're not in battle. So yeah, that's X Factor. To me, the Infinity Stones seem like they're going to act more like an X Factor, like a way for you to something to activate one time during battle, which will help you come back from a deficit or to further increase your lead. So that's what it sounds like more to me, but I guess we'll see. Also on that same note, we were talking about whether or not there were assists in Marvel vs. Capcom 1, because that's also a 2v2 game. So there kind of are, but they work very differently from the assists in 2 and 3. Basically, you get what's called... so it's got two names, according to Wikipedia. I'm guessing it's a translation issue, or just a difference of translation. So it's called either the guest character or special partner system. And basically what that does is it randomly assigns you an assist during before the match begins. So you don't get any say over what assists you're going to get in battle, which is the kind of random element that really is not favorable for competitive play, unless it's Pokemon, which then you kind of just have to deal with it. So that's also you can only use your guest character or special partner or whatever a limited number of times in battle, which is different from the assists in 2 and 3, which as long as your partner character is still alive, you can use as many times as you want. So yeah, that's how assists work. We're not getting assists in Infinite. One thing that they did mention is that you will be able to tag between your two characters instantly anytime, which is different from the way it works in Ultimate. Basically, in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, you could do what's called a team aerial combo, which is when you're doing a combo in the air, you can switch out to extend the combo, but on the ground, if you're doing a combo, you can't do that. Whereas in Infinite, you will be able to do that instantly. I guess that would have some effect with the hyper combos, or maybe the Infinity Gems. Who knows? Infinity Stones, Infinity Gems, same thing. Sort of. Not really, but sort of. Anyway. Okay, next correction is we were talking about the trailer, obviously, and I mistakenly said it was Mega Man and Ryu versus Iron Man versus Captain Marvel. What I obviously meant to say was Mega Man and Ryu, and it's actually Mega Man X, not Mega Man, which is important, believe it or not. So Mega Man X and Ryu versus Iron Man and Captain Marvel. I probably got messed up because we were talking about Infinity War 2 and how Iron Man and Captain Marvel are butting heads. Okay, next correction is we were talking about Ghost Rider. He's in Ultimate Marvel versus Capcom 3. And I said that if the rumor that we're only getting the MCU characters into Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, that Ghost Rider could come back. And that is true because Ghost Rider is in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is part of the MCU. However, it's a different Ghost Rider than the Ghost Rider in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. That's Johnny Blaze, the one that most people think of as the Ghost Rider. He's from the movies and whatnot. The Ghost Rider in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., his name is Robbie Reyes, and he drives a car instead of a motorcycle. So, I don't know. I'm sure that would play into it somehow because, they're like different and they have different ways of fighting their enemies and stuff. In one of his hyper combos, Ghost Rider in Ultimate, he'll get on his motorcycle and do stuff. So obviously they would have to change that for if he does come into Infinite. So, or maybe they wouldn't. Maybe they're just like, we're gonna put Johnny Blaze in here and forget Robbie Reyes.
I mean, it's the spirit of the Ghost Rider, though.
True.
It's the spirit, man.
True. Okay. Then we've got 3 character game corrections, and then that's it. We're done with our corrections for the week. So the first one is we were talking about Storm and Magneto, and we both thought that they were in Marvel vs. Capcom 1. That is incorrect. They do not appear until Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Next thing is that we were talking about Phoenix Wright being in the game because I said I wanted to see a fight between Phoenix Wright and Matt Murdock. But then I was thinking about it, and I wasn't sure if Phoenix was in regular Marvel vs. Capcom 3 if he didn't show up until Ultimate. Turns out he was a new addition to Ultimate. So that's cool. And then the last correction is that we were talking about Iron Man versus War Machine being in any of the games. Turns out that War Machine was in Marvel vs. Capcom 1. Iron Man was not. And they were both in Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Always wondered about that.
Yeah, it's I'm sure, well, I'm not sure. My hypothesis is that it has something to do with the comic publication at the time. Like maybe they had taken away Iron Man from the comics when Marvel vs. Capcom 1 was produced. And that's why they had War Machine, not Iron Man. Or maybe not. Who knows? Okay, we are going to cover a little bit of news before we take our break. So, hooray for short correction segments, I guess.
This is like the second time in a row, right?
I know, right?
Not bad.
Okay. First thing here is that Attack on Titan 2 has finally gotten confirmation of Season 2. We have a month release date, not like a hard release date, but it's going to be coming out in April. So that's super exciting. You've watched Attack on Titan, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So Season 1 came out like 2013.
Jeez. Yeah,
it was like I'm pretty sure it was
when I graduated high school.
Yeah. So
it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a
while.
And what's really weird is that Dragon Ball Z is like really infamous for the anime being so popular that they kept the anime going while the manga was catching up, like progressing in the story, and that's why we have all that filler and stuff. So what's weird about this is that the manga of Attack on Titan is like way far ahead, but the anime's been super popular. So I don't know what's taken them so long to get to season 2, but it's happening, so I guess we'll just be happy about it. So I'm really looking forward to it. I need to rewatch season 1 because it's been so long since I watched it. I vaguely remember where it left off, but I want to watch it again because it's good. Okay, next thing is that we got a official title reveal for the next Fast and Furious movie. So right after Furious 7 came out, Vin Diesel, I think at a convention or something, he revealed the title of the movie, and they said it was going to be called Furious 8, which I was fine with. But for whatever reason, the title is now changed. It's going to be called Fate of the Furious, which I don't like as much. Now, that could be because I don't like change, and I just gotten used to the idea of
I've noticed
Furious
that.
8.
I've noticed that.
But I also liked the number scheme that they had been going with.
See, we're going back to the numbers again with titles.
So
I'm telling you, this is a recurring theme on the show.
So quick breakdown of Fast and Furious titles. So the original movie.
Real quick, what if we started doing that with our episodes instead of saying like episode 30 whatever? So like saying just a name for the episode.
That would be confusing. So the original Fast and Furious movie was called The Fast and the Furious. Very plain, very simple. Fit with the movie, so it was good. Second movie is called Too Fast, Too Furious, with the number 2, not TOO. Again, I think that's a good title. I think it's, somewhat clever, and it fits with the movie. The third movie is called Fast and Furious 3, Tokyo Drift. Regardless of your feelings on the movie, the title itself is a little bit lengthy. It's the first time that we didn't have Vin Diesel or Paul Walker, so that's, depending on your point of view, good thing or a bad thing again. But they were going in a different direction with the series, and then they decided to go back to their original direction, which is why the fourth movie is called Fast and Furious. So a little bit confusing because of the title of the first movie, but whatever, it makes sense. Fifth movie is called Fast 5. Very plain, very simple. Fifth movie, it works. You still can kind of figure out that it's a Fast and Furious movie. Obviously, we had Vin Diesel and Paul Walker, so that made sense too. But yeah, and then the sixth movie was called Fast 6. Now, this one I didn't like as much. It was a little like, okay, we get it. They're fast. It's the sixth movie. It's not super creative. It's a little bit repetitive, but whatever. Seventh movie was called Furious 7. Which I thought worked really well. I think they probably should have gone Furious 6, but whatever. And then the eighth movie was supposed to be called Furious 8, which I think sounds better. Just like it rolls off the tongue more than Furious 7. But again, maybe I just gotten used to the idea of that title. But it also made sense because we had Fast 5, Fast 6, so Furious 7 and Furious 8 would make sense because they went with that naming scheme. But now we're getting Fate of the Furious, which is a very cryptic title. Like, it's almost like, it almost makes it sound like this is going to be the last movie in the series, even though we know there's going to be 2 more after this. So I don't know.
I honestly don't know what to say to any of that. It's just too much fast, too much furious.
They should have just called it Faster and Furiouser to get it over with.
Just keep progressing.
Yeah.
Just
and
like
then
that.
The most fast and the most furious. Or I guess fastest. Anyway, let's move on. So we got a new photo of a character from the upcoming Logan movie.
Mm-hmm.
So an actor named Richard E. Grant is going to be playing a character named Dr. Xander Rice, who is the creator of X-23. Now, why does this matter? It doesn't. Why are we talking about it?
What the heck, man? Why would you even like... Never mind. I'm not gonna say anything.
Good idea.
Never mind.
So X-23...
It's gonna fall into deaf ears if I do. So just continue.
X-23 is a clone of our favorite Wolverine, a continuation of the Weapon X project, and Logan, because of all of the trauma that he's faced in his life, is very sorry for her because he doesn't want her to have to deal with all the things that he's dealt with in his life. And yeah, that's all I gotta say. Okay, next thing is it was announced that Walton Goggins is going to be playing the villain in the upcoming Tomb Raider movie. Now, many episodes ago, we talked about the Tomb Raider movie because they were talking about casting Daisy Ridley as Lara Croft. They ended up going with Alicia Vikander, who's a good actress, but I thought Daisy Ridley would have fit the role really well, but whatever. Anyway, so Walton Goggins, we actually, by coincidence, we happened to talk about him last week. He was in the movie Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
He was the congressman who was going to chicken out of voting for the passing of the 13th Amendment, but he ended up supporting it.
Yes.
Spoilers, sorry.
Read a history book, nerds.
Yeah, he was also the guy in The Hateful Eight. As it turns out, when I was reading this article, he was in Django Unchained.
Really?
I
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me because he played his role in The Hateful Eight very well, but whatever. So yeah, I'm not super familiar with him as an actor, but just based on those two movies we'll just talk about. I do like him. I think he plays that southern kind of menacing guy very well, almost like Ed Harris in National Treasure 2.
Ooh, I see what you mean now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's a good actor. I think he's well suited for a more villainous role, although his role in Lincoln was not villainous. It was actually a lot more sympathetic.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, now I think about it, his role in Hateful Eight is a little bit sympathetic too, but anyway.
Makes you really think.
Yeah.
What is a villain? Is he really a villain? What makes a villain?
I don't know, Brandon. What does make a villain?
Lemons make a villain.
Next thing is that it was announced this week that Will Ferrell, best known for his roles on Saturday Night Live, Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby,
Step Brothers,
Wedding Crashers, Semi-Pro,
Anchorman
2, Anchorman: The Legend of Ron Burgundy, and other such classic films. Anyway, it was announced this week that he's going to be making an eSports movie.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So, eSports, for those who are unfamiliar, are electronic sports. Now, this can include games such as Madden or NBA 2K or MLB The Show or whatever. But most of the quote-unquote main esports are fighting games like Marvel vs. Capcom, Injustice, Mortal Kombat, etc. And then probably even more popular than that are the MOBAs. Well, some of them. Dota 2, that's a super popular one. League of Legends, probably the most popular.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Huh? No, I have some...
Oh, go on.
I'm not going to talk about League of Legends. I have some very choiceful words to say about that.
Does it have to do with your roommate?
No.
Okay. I've never played League of Legends, but I do find the culture behind it fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
I make it a point to watch not live, but like later after the fact, I make it a point to watch the World Finals every year because I do find it really interesting. Like, how the crowd gets into it. Like, they're super into it.
It's like watching the World Cup.
Yeah,
it's very much like that.
The announcers, they get really into it, and the funny thing is that like they'll use this terminology that I have zero idea of what it means. Like one of the things that they say all the time is when a character will gank the mid lane, and I'm like, what does that mean? I don't know. And I could Google it, I could find out, but it would take away some of the mystery. But another thing that I really like about it is that. So I'll watch it once a year and I'll forget everything about it. So I'll get to like kind of relearn what's happening throughout the games, like every time I watch it, which is really fun to see. Like, okay, whenever he does this, like he'll level up, and the idea is to kill the minions to get the gold and level up and get more powerful stuff. So that's why I like watching League of Legends. Other than that, I have zero desire to play it because I don't have that much free time. But yeah, League of Legends, it's a thing. If you've never heard of it, now you have. Maybe check out a match or something. Get on Twitch, find somebody who's playing, because there's always someone playing.
There's always someone playing.
My old job at admissions, which I've talked about before. Actually, it's been a while since I talked about it. For any new listeners, at the school that I graduated from, I used to work in the admissions department. I would enter students who are applying to the school. I would enter their application details into the system that we used. It was a very mindless and repetitive job, and I loved it because I got to watch cartoons all day long. And so I had a few coworkers. Well, there were like professional workers who worked there all the time, but then there were a couple student workers who worked there with me. One of whom, so I would watch cartoons. Another one of my coworkers used that time to catch up on TV shows that she would not otherwise have time to watch. And then another guy who started working there towards the end of the time that I was working there, he would watch Twitch all day long. So he would sometimes watch like concerts, and sometimes he would watch League of Legends. That was mostly what he watched. And I just found it very odd, like the disparity between our three viewing habits. Anyway, so yeah, Will Ferrell, eSports movie.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so we don't know like what type of esport he's going to be playing. I feel like he would be more of like a manager for an esports team. I feel like because he's a little bit older, and esports players tend to be a lot younger.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would be funny for him to be like the manager of the team and like get super into it. Kind of like another movie he was in, Kicking and Screaming. He was the coach of his kids' soccer team. So I think that would be a good role for him. And then to get some younger actors on the esports team like Tom Holland, or I don't know his name. The guy who plays Dong on
Unbreakable
Kimmy
Schmidt. I'm trying to remember. I can't think of it.
Yeah,
it's a Korean name. It's a Korean name.
Isn't he Vietnamese on the show?
Yeah, in the show he's Vietnamese, but in real life he's Korean.
Oh. Yeah. Interesting. Anyway, so
Asian representation for you.
So yeah, maybe just like that's just a theory, maybe.
Why him? Because he's Asian?
No.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Why can't I play that character?
You could. You totally should. You should definitely audition.
I feel like I'll be the angry gamer because it's kind of true in real life.
Maybe the movie is about a esports player who like he just never like grew up and like
he's trying to adapt to the new age.
Something like that. Okay, so last week we talked about 2 celebrity deaths, and I said that they come in threes. And as it turns out, we got our third one this past week, not counting, what's his name? The astronaut guy. Yeah, John Glenn, that's his name. So, I mean, technically he's famous, but he wasn't really a celebrity. But anyway, so Peter Vaughn died at the age of 93. For Brandon and I, his most notable role would be as Maester Aemon on Game of Thrones.
Now his watch has ended.
Indeed. So, yeah. Rest in peace, Mr. Vaughn. Okay. Next thing is that Vin Diesel was giving an interview sometime this past week, and he teased 2 possibilities for the future of his character as Groot. First one is that he said in Avengers Infinity War that we will... I forget his exact wording, but he made it sound like there's going to be a fight scene between Hulk and Groot, which, while interesting in concept, when you start thinking it out, like the Hulk would win. Like there's no scenario in which Groot could win that fight.
True. I agree. In physical combat, I think
mental combat,
I think so.
I don't know about that,
because the really weird thing that I don't know if they're gonna show in the films or not is that Groot actually in the comics he has a genius level intellect.
Oh, really?
Now that's not really shown in the movies because he does some dumb stuff, but he's also kind of clever in the movie at times.
Yeah, but we won't spoil anything.
Yeah.
So anyway,
because they kind of did that in Earth's Mightiest Heroes when the Guardians came.
Okay.
Yeah.
I honestly don't remember that, but I believe you. Yeah, so again, like this is kind of foreshadowing what we're going to talk about, but we got a trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 this week, and we know that Groot is, like, he's out of the plant, but he's still, like, tiny.
He's baby Groot still.
Yeah, but obviously if there's going to be a fight between Groot and Hulk, we know that means he's going to be full size again. Now, I predict that he's going to be full size by the end of Volume 2. Like,
I think so too. After this, I'm going to show you a video which kind of supports my theory.
Okay. So for him, but by Infinity War, like for sure, like he would definitely be full size. So, but this, if this were to happen, because it's not like confirmed or anything, but if it were to happen, then that would definitely be the case. Unless, you could make the argument that, a smaller size could be advantageous.
That is true.
Groot,
that is true.
But probably not. Anyway, other thing that Vin Diesel talked about was a potential spin-off movie centering around Rocket and Groot. Now, my idea would be for this to be a prequel, because
show the origins of the two.
Yeah, basically. How they met, how they, became friends and some missions that they went on before they met up with Star-Lord and whatnot. But again, like he didn't say that's for sure. Like I think he said like he would like to see that happen, and that there have been talks about it or something like that. But this is not 100% sure thing. But I think a lot of people would like to see that. I would definitely like to see that.
Me too. Yeah. Anytime we can get more Rocket and Groot.
Basically.
Anytime.
All right. Next news item here is that we got confirmation of season 2 for Luke Cage. So the Marvel Netflix series have been doing really well. They've been gotten a lot of fan acclaim and a lot of critical acclaim. So they've just been really popular.
Yeah, it's been a sweet Christmas for Marvel.
Luke Cage, I would say, just based on reactions that I've seen from the people that I follow, have been a lot less. They've been a lot more underwhelming than Daredevil and Jessica Jones. People were like singing their praises, and then Luke Cage was, I'd never heard anything bad about it, but I didn't hear anyone saying like, "Oh, this is so amazing, you have to watch it right now," because I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, me neither. But see, I actually have heard the opposite. I've heard some people telling me this is like probably even like they've topped it again from Daredevil.
I haven't heard that at all, but
and I really like Daredevil. So
yeah. Anyway,
that's why I have winter break coming up. I'm gonna just sit in front of my computer and veg out on all the shows.
Winter is coming.
It is, and you're gonna see me next time. I'm just gonna be like not even human anymore. I'm gonna be fused to my computer.
But yeah, so that's Luke Cage season 2. All right, next and final news item before we take our break. It was announced this week that Jimmy Kimmel, the host of, actually, what is his show called? I think it's just Late Night with Jimmy Kimmel.
I don't think it's Late Night. I could be wrong though. I think it's just called Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So host of Jimmy Kimmel Live, he is going to be hosting the Oscars in 2017.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So last year we got Chris Rock. That was cool. I thought he did an okay job. Although because of the whole Oscar is so white controversy, like I thought his monologue dwelt on it too much. Like obviously he didn't touch on it, and I did not, and I think he did a good job of addressing some of the issues with it. But it just went on for too long with the whole thing that. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, Jimmy Kimmel's hosting this year. That's cool. He's not my favorite late night talk show host. That would definitely be Conan O'Brien. But I don't dislike Jimmy Kimmel. I think they have some pretty funny segments. Like The Baby Bachelor. That's pretty funny. I saw one where you're supposed to lie to your kids about you ate all their Halloween candy. Mm-hmm. That looks pretty funny, and yeah, they just have some like weird, dumb stuff like that. But yeah, Jimmy Kimmel, I think he should do a pretty good job. So
probably won't watch it. I never watch it.
I
just because I don't have the time. So usually, I'll go back and watch some clips if I can. But, yeah, I mean, I'm happy for him because hosting is hard.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people say like this is not like you all you have to do is like speak from the cue cards and say this, but it's a little bit harder than that because you need to make sure you have enough personality to keep it going, just be funny enough, and sometimes you don't really like get your material on point, and it's a hard thing to do.
Yeah. Speaking as the host of a program, I can attest to this fact.
Just give it like maybe 15 years, you might be up there.
Maybe.
Give me like the most driest monologue of the Oscars.
All right. Anyway,
you won't even like be on the stage. You'll be like talking from the internet the whole time.
We are going to take a break. We're going to watch some trailers, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about said trailers because it would be pointless for us to watch them and then not talk about it. At least in the context of this show. If we weren't recording a podcast, we would still watch it and then still talk about it.
Probably, yeah.
But, yeah, that was way too long of an explanation, so...
It always is.
Yeah. Okay, we are back, and we've got mad trailers to talk about. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that doesn't include that Fast and Furious thing that we watched.
Are we going to talk about that?
No.
Okay. Just need to be sure, because I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, no, there's no point. Okay. So, is there one that you wanted to talk about in particular?
No, let's just go off the list that you have.
Alrighty, in order. First thing we watched was a trailer for The Circle, starring Emma Watson, Tom Hanks, and John Boyega.
Yep.
So, this is like weird. It starts off. It looks like she's applying for the job, right? That's kind of what it felt like to me. For this like tech company, very Google-esque.
Kind of like social media also.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And she gets the job, and
she's Emma Watson, why not?
And so it's for this company called, or I don't know if the company or the product is called The Circle, but it has something to do with knowledge, because knowledge is power.
And sharing is caring.
Yes. Tom Hanks is presumably the CEO or the spokesperson, at least, of this company, and he's saying that he says that knowing is good, but knowing everything is better. So it starts off as this like just this like corporate. It kind of has this like feel good tone to it,
inspiring.
Yeah.
Like the further you push human advancement, the greater it will become.
Yeah. But then it takes this tone of very dark and mysterious, like, oh, something shady's going on here. They're trying to like control people, or like I
had a very 1984 kind of feeling.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because we said like join us and know everything. It had like a very Big Brother feel to it.
Yeah. I didn't pick up on that, but yeah, you're right. There's also this one part where he says that it seemed to me like the Circle could like predict the future almost, and they were like influencing human behavior or something like that. So,
which is really scary.
Yeah,
that sounds really cool, but that sounds really scary.
Mm-hmm. So it looks very. I'm intrigued.
I am too. Because I saw the thumbnail for the trailer on YouTube, but I didn't bother to check it out. Mostly because I knew you wanted to see it. So now I'm actually very happy I saw this.
Yeah, it's I don't think they had a release date or like even a window or anything.
I don't remember from seeing it.
Yeah. So I want to.
I bet you this is a ploy to get into the First Order. They're using Finn to like get people to come in.
And Emma Watson is actually Captain Phasma. All right. Then the next trailer we watched was for War for the Planet of the Apes. Now, I love the Planet of the Apes movies, or the two most recent ones.
I've heard very good things about them. I haven't seen them, but everybody's told me that they are fantastic.
They are really, really good. Well, I like them a lot. I know my sister doesn't like them, but that's more because she doesn't like monkeys or apes.
Can't believe Harambe died for this. I know it's been a while and the joke's dead, kind of like Harambe, but I had to bring it up. I'm sorry.
But anyway, so we didn't get too much in this trailer, which is fine with me. Like I know I want to see it, so I'll like it doesn't matter what I know because I'll see it. But we did find out that Woody Harrelson is in the movie. He's looking very creepy and bald. The apes are talking a lot more. There was very little speech in the second. Like, he only speaks once in the first movie. Well, no, a couple times, but it's very little. In the second movie, there's a bit more speaking, but it's very rough. This one is, like, full, complete, like, sentences.
I didn't know this until both from The Force Awakens and this trailer, like, how epic Andy Serkis's voice is. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He has a really cool voice. I like it.
Yep. You could call it precious. But anyway, so one thing that I'm a little bit wary of is the title of the movie. So the first movie is called Rise of the Planet of the Apes. And then the second one is called Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. But this one is called War for the Planet of the Apes, which I know it's not a big deal. And it really, like, it's not. Doesn't bother me that much.
I like how we always see this. I'm telling you, we always go back to the title. The title always comes up for debate.
But I think that War of the Planet of the Apes would have worked just as well as For the Planet of the Apes, but whatever. Other than that, there wasn't too much to talk about. There was this one thing there's this little girl who's riding on the back of a horse with this orangutan who's been in the other 2 movies. So that's, and then they cut to her a couple times throughout the trailer. So that's going to be some big thing.
I mean, I'm assuming there's a connection between the girl and the orangutan.
Yeah.
The second time she was shown, it was with the orangutan.
Mm-hmm.
Does the orangutan have a name?
Yeah, but I don't know what it is. And then another thing that I noticed was there's this one battle, it's the fight between somebody shooting at somebody else. Mm-hmm. And it looked like there were apes and humans. You saw that,
right? Because like they were manning a turret.
Yeah.
And then there was this ape and a human
it looked like
trying
they
to
were
fortify.
They're
trying to fortify the wall, and then
I did notice that. So that is
intriguing.
Yes,
I want to see what's happening with that.
Yeah. So other than that, I don't really have too much to say about the movie. It looks really good. I'm super looking forward to it. So yeah, I'll have to make you watch the first 2 movies.
Yeah, we'll put on my to-do list.
All right. I'm honestly not sure if this was the next one, but we'll just do it anyway. The next trailer we're going to talk about is for Spider-Man: Homecoming.
We finally got our trailer.
Indeed.
After all those months of talking about what's this, what's that.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So, what to say about this trailer?
I really liked it.
It was okay.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it wasn't nothing too flashy, nothing too epic, but I liked it. I felt like it fit Spider-Man perfect.
What did I pick up on? So they showed off the web wings.
Mm-hmm.
We already talked about that. Not much to say about it. The Vulture looked very, very mechanical.
Which, honestly, it makes a lot of sense.
It does. It's a vast departure from what's in the comic books, which is fine. Right. Like, especially for such a low tier villain. Like, I think that's probably better for them to like establish his own identity.
And when you kind of think about it, it makes a little bit more sense because when you take aerodynamics into play and altitude and science into consideration.
Yeah, I mean, you have to account for that freezing problem.
That's it.
And because of the Falcon's rig that he has in the MCU, like it also makes a lot of sense. So
that's really true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I mean the Falcon suit has always been mechanical, but in a lot of incarnations it doesn't look very mechanical. It looks a lot more natural.
Right. Like it was almost like made out of like a more. It doesn't look like it's made out of metal.
Yeah. But the Vulture, as far as I'm aware, has always like those have been like quote unquote real wings as opposed to like.
It's gone back and forth. It's much more organic looking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I forget the whole story behind it, but yeah, you're right. It's nothing like Falcons.
Yeah. Other than that, we saw a little bit of Mary Jane. He has this friend who I was unclear who that was supposed to be, because the only friend we really ever established Peter with, especially in high school, is Harry, and that. There's no way that was supposed to be Harry. So I don't know what that's about. Maybe they're just trying to be more diverse because he was an Asian character. So maybe, or maybe not. I don't know. We got a little bit of Tony in the trailer, doing Tony things. At the very end, there was this one flash of Spider-Man swinging and Iron Man flying next to him. I am still on the train of we're going to get an Iron Spider suit. I think it just makes the most sense to do it now because in the comic books, he gets it as part of during the Civil War event. And so obviously we just had Civil War. And so it would line up with the comics, and Tony's obviously a big part of it. So I hope to see it. It might not happen, but...
And then some people are complaining, like, oh, why is Tony in the movie?
Yeah.
And in the comics, like, he and Peter have always had a really good relationship. It's been tested a couple of times, but they've always been close with each other.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that he was in it. And I like that bit when he's trying to open the door, and Peter thinks he's giving me a hug. And I'm like, no, I'm not giving you a hug, just opening the door.
Yeah, that was... It was funny, but like it doesn't make any sense either.
I mean, it's Tony humor.
Yeah.
They're both really awkward.
Other than that, I don't have a lot.
Actually,
to say.
I do want to say something. Tom Holland's abs.
Oh, I knew you were.
Holy crap! Because I mean, I said it on Twitter, but even just watching it again, like, what the hell, man? Like, how old is this guy?
In real life?
In real life, yeah.
Like 22, I think.
And because I know in the movie he's supposed to be around like 15.
Something like that, yeah.
So I'm just looking at it like, oh man, like, what happened to me? Where did it all go wrong? How do I get that?
Diet and exercise.
Too much work.
I know, right?
But I'm really happy with the trailer we got.
Yeah, no, it was a lot better than I was expecting.
It had like it had like a teenage feel. You could like from the beginning, you felt like you're back in high school, and of course it shifts to the superhero aspect of it, and it fit. I feel like it perfectly fits Spider-Man. And then we get him like doing his Spider-Man thing where he's trying to like, keep a ship together.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for this. I'm happy we're getting this movie. Happy he's part of the MCU, and I can't wait to see.
Yeah. All right. Next was the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So this trailer was, in my opinion, not as good as the Spider-Man trailer. It was, it wasn't a bad trailer, but it didn't do anything to make me super excited.
I'm the opposite. It made me very happy.
If I hadn't seen the Baby Groot thing already, that probably would have made me more excited.
Was this your first time watching it?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but we already knew, like, in that first teaser image that they showed with all of them like leaning up against the wall, like we saw Baby Groot there, so it wasn't going to be a surprise, but it was fine. It was yeah, I
enjoyed it. I really liked it. I'm really happy for this movie. I'm very excited. I mean, of course, because Baby Groot, because how can you not love Baby Groot? Like the scene of him screaming at the guy, and then he like extends his arms.
That was really cool.
That was really funny, really, really cute. And I don't know, I'm just happy that everybody's back. I think the person I'm most excited for besides Groot in this movie is probably Drax. There's a lot of Drax I saw that kind of made me chuckle.
Yeah, I don't know. So there's one scene in the trailer where that one alien chick, and I know she has a name.
It's Mantis.
Oh, yeah. She can sense others' feelings by touching them. And so she touches Star-Lord, and then she says that he is in love, or has sexual love was her phrase, for Gamora. And Drax just like busts out laughing. He's like, "Oh, this must be so embarrassing for you." I did not find that to be funny at all. It might have been funny for like a second, but then they drag it on like really long, and it just lost its humorous appeal for me.
To be fair, that is part of his persona.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, he has to like call the obvious and make things just drag on like that.
Yeah.
So I understand where you're coming from. I really do. I feel like that was necessary for Drax, just because that's how Drax works.
True.
And then the little like flash of him, like, I don't know what he's trying to dig into, but he has his two like blades, and it's like really, really.
Oh, I think he was attacking that alien thing.
Like, he was in the inside of it.
Yeah,
I think so too. I don't know, but like, it was really funny because like he's just like going really, really fast trying to get himself out of it.
Yeah. Other than that,
nobody has tape.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know you feel like a little bit like about this. I'm personally very happy about it.
I'm gonna watch the movie.
I know, but like, just because you're gonna watch the movie doesn't mean you're gonna be excited for the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Next.
Why can't you just be happy, Alex? Why can't you just be happy? It's
not in my nature. I said I like the Spider-Man trailer.
Barely.
All right. Next trailer we watched was for Transformers: The Last Night, and this one did not get me excited at all.
I can't argue with that.
Yeah. There was a robot dragon that was pretty rad. There was this scene of Optimus Prime beating up on Bumblebee. That was kind of cool.
I'm interested to see where that's going, though.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this is, like, probably far stretching. I doubt they're going to do this. But if that really dark, like, planet-looking thing that was coming towards, I think it was the moon or Earth, I want to, like, maybe that could be an introduction to Unicron. I doubt it. I really doubt it. But it would explain why Optimus is turning so evil. So maybe he's like a herald for Unicron or something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, it would make sense. I don't know why Optimus would want to be like, oh, death to all humans. I mean, the humans have done some pretty bad stuff to the Autobots in the movies. I'm not going to lie about that. So I can't really blame him. We got, Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah. Well, we didn't see him. We only heard him. Oh, really?
Yeah, he was that guy that touched the, whatever it was, when he says, like, why do they keep coming back to this world?
Yeah, that's true.
So we know he's not going to be a Cybertronian.
Yeah, well, no. We already knew he's Winston Churchill. We already knew
Is he really?
Yeah.
We did?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
We talked about it on the podcast.
Dude, I mean, you know how long ago we talk about these things?
Yeah, true.
You expect me to remember everything? That's why we have corrections. That's interesting. I've never, So I do want to see how that kind of plays out, though. Because it's established that they've kept coming here for a long time. Which, I mean, it was established in the second movie. They've been here since the time of ancient Egypt. But they keep coming back to this planet.
Yep.
Because, humanity. We were so special, and I keep putting, that sounds terrible. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I still haven't seen the fourth Transformers movie.
I've seen bits and pieces. It's if you just want to veg out and watch explosions, it's fine. The story is okay. It's not amazing, but it's all right.
Yeah. Point being is that unless I'm not going to watch the fifth one without having watched the fourth one. So unless I watch that one first,
I mean, honestly, like if you just wanted to have a wild night out, you could just pregame. We can all go watch the fifth one and be like, yeah, just like the whole time. And like, if we really wanted to try and enjoy the movie,
we could do that. Okay, I'll have to keep that in mind. All right, the next trailer we watched was for The Mummy, not to be confused with The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser. This is a reboot of, well, I'm actually not sure if it's supposed to be a reboot or like just a new thing, like yeah, I don't know what they're classifying this as. So I don't think we've ever actually talked about this on the podcast, but Universal Pictures, the movie studio, they are setting up what they're calling a monsterverse. Mm-hmm. So basically their own cinematic universe focusing on monsters as opposed to like superheroes. So
right.
We've got Godzilla.
That's kind of cool. I mean,
yeah, it's
I mean,
different.
It's kind of following the same like
mm-hmm.
We gotta make our own universe and it's all created, like equal and everything's connected. But in a way, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of potential, I think, but we need to see how they develop going forward because this is like in its early inception days. So we've gotten Godzilla. Kong is coming out next year, and then The Mummy. Those are the three main ones. I think there's like some other ones that I think have been in talks, like the Wolfman. I think is going to be part of it, and maybe like Dracula or something. I don't know. Anyway, so what's going to be really crazy is when we like start combining movies together. So obviously King Kong versus Godzilla, that's going to happen at some point, and other stuff. Maybe like where the Wolfman could like turn Godzilla into a werewolf thing. That
doesn't make sense, but okay.
I'm just trying to think. Okay,
back to the trailer though.
What if the Wolfman turned Godzilla into a werewolf and Dracula turned King Kong into a vampire?
I feel like that's gonna destroy the world in the process. We're mixing the chemicals and the streams, and you're not supposed to do that, Alex. Remember, because we're gonna open. Yeah, it's just gonna just be boom.
But anyway, so the Mummy trailer, again, like this was a lot about setup, just trying to explain what's going to happen in the movie. So we didn't get a whole lot. Basically, they find the sarcophagus. Tom Cruise is chilling in the plane with this other chick, and she
bunch of army guys.
Yeah, and this flock of I think it was birds, but it might have been bats.
I feel like it was birds.
Yeah,
because the pilots died when those things hit them.
I feel like that would happen with bats too.
I feel it too, but the birds have the beaks.
True.
Like, just right into you.
But anyway,
which is probably I think the creepiest part of the trailer for me when the birds just attacked.
Yeah, that was pretty weird. But anyway, so the plane goes down. Tom Cruise manages to save this woman, whoever she is, and then he is in the crash. Like the plane crashes and he dies because the next thing we see is in the morgue. He wakes up for some reason, which I'm sure is going to be mysterious but explained. And yeah, and then Russell Crowe is there, and he's like, "This is Princess something or another," and she's going to claim what's rightfully hers or something like that. And then she destroys Buckingham Palace, and that was pretty much the end of it.
Yep, stick it to the British.
Yeah. So really not much to talk about there. So let's back up a little bit and talk about The Mummy a little bit more. We talked about it a little bit to begin with. I've seen I've seen The Mummy, The Mummy 2, and The Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, and bits and like random episodes of the cartoon. I've never seen The Scorpion King, and I believe there was a sequel to that movie.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and I never saw that one either. So I'm somewhat familiar with the Mummy franchise. Brandon is not really. Do you have any interest in seeing this movie or previous Mummy movies?
I have, actually. I just have never had a chance to.
So how do you feel about Tom Cruise versus Brendan Fraser?
Honestly, I've never really seen a movie with Brendan Fraser besides Looney Tunes. there was a movie where he was in it. I want to say it was called Looney Tunes Unleashed. I could be wrong. Let me look it up real quick.
So for
you give me this look. Like
no, I was just like racking my brain. For me, I am not like Brendan Fraser has had a pretty mixed career. In recent years, he's become the butt of some jokes. I believe,
unfortunately.
Yeah, but I think he's a pretty decent actor overall. Like for me, the thing that I think of the most is George of the Jungle, just because that was a big thing for me in my childhood. But in The Mummy, like I honestly think he does a good job of being like the heroic, masculine protagonist, and I'm not disappointed that they got rid of him because I think he had his time to do his thing, and it's if they want to keep this thing going, like I don't have a problem with them getting somebody else. As far as Tom Cruise, like I like Tom Cruise. I think he's a great actor. You
don't know why they went with him.
Yeah. Like, I know he still does a lot of action movies. Like, he just came out with another Jack Reacher movie. He's still doing the Mission Impossible movies. And, like, he's still in good shape. Like, he doesn't look that old, but he is getting up there in years. And I think they just need to, like, find new young actors who can do these, like, really action-filled roles. Like, I don't think we need to keep bringing in these guys who are getting increasingly old just because they have name recognition.
That's true. But at the same time, you can also need to make the argument that, they got to get as much in as they can before their time comes.
I guess, but I mean, like Tom Cruise is a really, really good actor. Like, he can do dramas. I don't know why I don't know if it's him that just wants to, like, keep this feeling of being young. Like, maybe that's why he keeps doing these roles.
Maybe.
I don't know what it is.
So, Brendan Fraser was actually, I'm sorry, I don't know why I said Looney Tunes Unleashed. That was the cartoon we talked about. The movie he was in was Looney Tunes Back in Action. So when
did that come out?
That came out 2003.
Okay.
So you remember? Do you ever watch Space Jam?
Yeah, of course.
So you know how they mix, real life people in with animated characters, right? So it's kind of the same principle, but it's more that the animated characters were in the real world.
Okay.
But it was still the same premise. So that's the only movie I've really seen from start to finish from Brendan Fraser.
Okay.
And I mean, I liked him in the movie. I mean, he was fine as a character. He did a little bit of a satire of himself. He mentioned the movies. Because the character that Brendan Fraser plays is a stuntman, and he said, "I'm in that movie more than Brendan Fraser is because I did all my own stunts." So it was a really cool satire. But yeah, honestly, that's all I know about him. I know Tom Cruise a little bit better, and I agree he's a really good actor. I don't know, maybe because he's usually depicted as this like typical protagonist action hero that sometimes they kind of blend together. Not saying that it's always the case with Tom Cruise's character, but when you based on what you get from the trailers, you can kind of get that kind of stereotype, which is it's an unfair assumption on my part. That's just the feeling that I got from watching it. Maybe he's going to do a great job in this movie. I hope he does. I just honestly can't say too much about it.
Yeah.
But the effects look nice. Russell Crowe did a great job narrating, as he always does.
Okay, we've got one more movie trailer to talk about, then a TV trailer and a game trailer. So, the movie trailer is for Fist Fight. So we talked about this movie. It's been a while now.
It has been, yeah.
They've been pretty quiet, but we got a new trailer. Didn't really show off too much. Like, a lot of it was stuff that we had seen before.
Which I guess, to be fair, I mean, how much can you really show about a movie between two teachers that are going to fight? Yeah.
Let's see. What did we find out? We saw his wife. She's played by I'm gonna not remember her name now. It's I don't know. She was the oldest daughter on Reba.
I forgot about that show.
So she's in it, and I don't know what else to say about this movie.
I mean, I'm actually genuinely interested in watching this movie like in the theaters, just because it's so out there. It's crazy, but in a good way. Well, good in a bad way. Yeah, it just looks like one of those like movies just to kind of like get your mind off of reality for an hour or two and just kind of laugh at the stupidity of the premise, but you still enjoy the movie. So that's why I'm excited to see it. Plus, you see like how big in scale this movie is because they're having all the entire school come out, and cheer on between these two teachers.
It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, and I mean, Ice Cube versus Charlie Day. How can you not want to see that? Plus, I think I just really want to see more for Charlie Day, just to see like what's he's gonna do to try and like avoid this fight as much as possible.
Yeah,
and we kind of see that in the trailer. Like he tries to run away when he's in the circle, and he's trying to, I don't know, he tries calling 911 and everything, and they don't listen to him. So I mean, what's he gonna do? Maybe he's gonna win the fight.
Maybe.
All
right. Next trailer was for the upcoming FX series Legion. So, Legion is about the son of Dr. Charles Xavier. He's a mutant with multiple personalities that he basically has no control over. Like, they take over him, and they've all got different powers. So, it's kind of like a madhouse in there. This trailer it didn't really explain much. Yeah. It was very, like, it kind of did, but it kind of didn't, and I don't really want to talk about it too much.
It's more of something you have to see than we can really talk about.
Yeah. Basically, there's like this secret government organization who's like trying to hunt down and research mutants and kill them if they're too dangerous, and he's trying to escape from them, it looks like. And yeah, it just looks like it's going to be a super weird, confusing TV show, which is kind of right up my alley. So I'm looking forward to this. I don't have cable, so I won't watch it when it comes on. Yeah. I'll just wait for it to come on Netflix, because FX puts up most of their stuff on Netflix. So yeah, are you gonna watch it?
Probably not. Probably not until like maybe a year later. Then I'll finally be like, oh, you know what? Let's try this out. Yeah. We talked about it. Might as well watch it.
Okay. The last thing to talk about is the reveal trailer for Empoleon in Pokken Tournament, and they showed off a pretty good selection of his moves and whatnot.
I have to say, he had a really, really cool entrance.
Yeah,
like, he just comes down. Really, he just comes down his wave and just crossing his arm or his flippers. Like,
yeah. He. So I said last week that I thought that his movements looked like that he would be very stiff in his movements, and he kind of was. A little bit more fluid than I would have expected, but a lot of it was like very like angular movements with his arms and stuff, and he doesn't like walk around on the trail on the field that much. He has one move where he like makes a little tidal wave that he like surfs over on. He has one move where he like shoots out an ice beam, which creates a path of ice that he can slide on.
Which I thought was pretty clever.
Yeah, and some like spinny moves where he'll like drill into his opponent with his beak and stuff. So yeah, I think they did a good job of making his movements look natural without making it waddling or anything. Right. So at least from what they showed in the trailer, who knows what it'll actually be like in the game. Other than that, he looks really, really cool. If we ever do get him on the console version, I'll definitely play as him, and probably only as him. Like, I've experimented with other characters, and there's some ones that I like, but I think this one's gonna be pretty rad. So hopefully they actually release it to the home console game. All right, well, that's all the news for this week, which means it's now time for our feature topic. And this week we're going to bring you a new top 5 list. It's actually been a while since we had a top 5. Now, normally I like to try and theme our top 5s to kind of like go along a certain subject matter until we run out of that. And so the last ones, we were talking about Disney animated movies and non-animated movies, and then Pixar movies. So I do have one more in that category, but we're not going to be doing that one today because it is Christmas time. So I thought it would be a good time for us to talk about our top 5 favorite Christmas movies, which Brandon looks super excited about.
I mean, it's fine. I have nothing against it.
Are you not a Christmas movie person?
I mean, I don't actively go out of my way to watch them, but if they're on TV, then I'll sit down and I'll watch it, and then I'll get into the Christmas spirit. Then the next day I'm like, why am I like this again? So I fluctuate with my things. I mean, I enjoy them. I genuinely enjoy them. A little bit more than Christmas music. Christmas music, I have to be in the season to enjoy.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, well, I will let you go first.
Okay.
Your choice.
Okay. Thank you. Me go first. So I think it's only fair to begin with the one that we both have on our list. Okay. And surprisingly, this is the only one that we have on our list together. So I'm going to start off things with How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the animated version.
Good choice.
Thank you. I've never seen
as I like to call it, the good version.
the good version. Okay. I've never seen the other version, so I can't really attest to that one.
Okay.
When I see it, then maybe I'll make a judgment about it. But yeah, I mean, I grew up with that version. It's one of the first Dr. Seuss films that I saw, or stories that I saw. It has a really good message. I love the animation. I mean, it's very much of a classic.
Yeah.
Any of Dr. Seuss's stuff is very much of a classic.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I mean, how can you not hate that? I mean, how can you hate that story? It has. I love the Grinch as a character. His whole concept of like wanting to steal Christmas just because he's kind of grumpy, and maybe I think I realized why I like it because maybe I like connect to the Grinch on that level. Oh, I just kind of realized that right now. But everything from like the music to the songs to just the art style and like the whole thing as a whole. I mean,
so
it's
there
just,
are.
Oh, thank you for cutting me off just like that. Yeah, that's right. That it puts you in a classic mood, and you've seen it so many times, and I've seen it so many times, but you kind of come back to it just because of it's a masterpiece in itself. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry, what were you gonna say before you cut me out?
So there are two versions of the animated movie.
That one I did know actually.
So there's one which is basically like it takes the art from the book, maybe like a few added scenes, and it just puts that with like some narration.
It's very much about like a play-by-play.
Yeah, it's very short. Like I would be surprised if it's even 30 minutes long. And then there was another version that came out so that one was the first. And then there was another version that came out in the 60s, I believe, which is fully animated, still has, the same storyline and everything, but then it has the added songs, which is probably the best known part of the movie.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
There's the story itself is pretty well known, but like, you can hear the songs on the radio and stuff.
And then you would know that it's from the Grinch, how the Grinch stole Christmas.
Yeah, so that's the one that I think of that I like. Like, I mean, I've seen the like I don't know what else to call it, like just the picture film. You know what I mean?
I know what you're trying to say. I don't know the term for it. There's a term for it. I just don't know what it is.
The animated version, like the fully animated one, is my favorite. The recent the modern adaptation, I guess you would call it, the one with Jim Carrey, it's not a bad movie. It just takes the story, which is very simple, very short. It has a good message. It takes all of that and it has those elements, but it changes a lot of it too. It adds a lot of fluff, a lot of things that kind of take away from the overall message in certain respects. Like while the message is still there, it also changes the message in subtle ways, and it detracts from it by trying to show other things at the same time. So it's not a bad movie. Like, it's okay. Like, it's definitely watchable, but for me, it just doesn't have the same charm to it as the animated one.
That's fair. But definitely, I would honestly say this is probably one of the first Christmas movies I've ever seen. So it does hold a special place in my heart.
Okay, so my second choice, I suppose, is, let me say, so as a rule for these top fives, we never give a ranking of like, well, this is my favorite, second,
because that would make it too hard.
Yeah, it would be really difficult.
And then we would go on about like, well, this is why we chose this one, but this is why this one wasn't on top, but this one why this was second, but then why this wasn't come another bit. We're very much those type of people, so we try to avoid that. Yeah.
And so we're still not doing that one for this list. However, my second choice would easily, 100%, no doubt in my mind, would be my number one Christmas movie, and that is White Christmas.
Okay. Very classic.
Yeah. So the reason that I love this movie so much is because it's just become a family tradition for me. I've seen this every Christmas for as long as I can remember. It's a family thing where we all get in our pajamas, get under the blankets, gather around TV together and watch it. And that in and of itself is why it's so beloved to me. The fact that it's a really, really touching, really funny movie is just like icing on the cake. But so White Christmas is about two guys. They first start off in the army together, and they become friends. One of them essentially owes a life debt to the other one, and so they become a performing musical act together, and they meet these two lovely blonde sisters, and they go to Vermont together, and things kind of go from there. I won't give away the story in case you've ever seen it, because you definitely should. It's on Netflix, so if you have a Netflix account, you have no reason not to watch this. Everything about it is fantastic, from the acting to the singing to the dancing to the writing. Like, I could probably quote this movie back to front with like the whole. I probably know every line in the movie, like not off the top of my head, obviously, but watching along with it, I could probably like say every line. Yeah, God, I just love this movie so much. It's my favorite thing about Christmas, other than, you know, the whole Christ being born thing. You know, I could take...
Oh, because, you know, that's just, you know, an added factor to it. Just the birth of our Messiah, no big deal.
You know, I could live without the Christmas tree and the Christmas cookies and the stockings and the presents and everything. Like, as long as I had White Christmas with my family, it would still be Christmas to me, so...
So, for my next one, I chose Home Alone. Either the first one or the second one.
Okay.
I like both of them equally.
Okay.
So, these aren't, like, by any regard, my favorite Christmas movies. But they're enjoyable for me. Mostly because, again, it's probably for nostalgia's sake. Because I grew up with them. I watched them. As a kid, they're humorous. And even as an adult, I still find them, you know, pretty enjoyable on both levels. I do know that the premise of the first one and second one is kind of the same. Like, he gets lost. He gets home alone. The goons come after him. He makes booby traps for them. Along the way, he meets a crotchety old person that somehow, in the end,
has
saves
a heart
him.
of gold.
Yeah, all the time. And in some really weird way, Macaulay Culkin finds a way to like, reunite them with their lost loved ones or something.
Macaulay
like
Culkin.
You know what I'm trying to say. These movies, I have to admit, even though I'm trying to say as much of a disregard as I can with these movies, I do really enjoy them. Mostly because like it kind of plays on the childhood innocence of the kid and tries to show that, you know, there's just like this really weird connection between childhood and Christmas that you always get. And I think it does a good job of trying to play, if not tries to, it does a good job of playing on that. And I really enjoyed the movies for that. And then, you know, the two goons, I don't know their names, but
Harry and Marv.
They do a great job of doing their parts. And I always feel so bad for them, but, you know, you kind of want to see, like, where the next, you know, trap is going to be and what's going to happen to them. Yeah, so, and by, you know, realistic standards, they should be dead at this point. But
yeah, Robin and I watched this just the other night, actually.
Really?
The first one. And she was telling me how she watched this video where they had doctors, like, sit down and watch the movie, and every time something happened to one of the thieves, they'd be like, oh, yeah, they'd be dead. They'd have a broken rib. Yeah. Like, so.
No way they should be able to function, but I don't know, maybe they're secretly super soldiers or mutants that they keep coming back. So the first one, like, it sticks with me the most because it's the original, it's classic. Second one, though, I really have to say, like, I had to like it equally because, I mean, he's in New York, he's lost, he meets Donald Trump, and then also the fact that, you know, like, he kind of rides in a limo drinking, you know, Coke out of a wine glass and he's eating pizza. Like, oh my God, like, how can I not like that as a kid? Like, come on, for real. So that's it for me. I mean, of course, it's, you know, a touching, there's a more sentimental side to it that I did enjoy. But, you know, it's a holiday classic. Yeah. Whatever happened to the actor, that's a whole nother story. I'm not going to go into that, but... You know, it did a great job of, you know, defining it as a classic holiday movie. Yeah, so this one did not make my list because, like I said earlier, I watched it for the first time in quite a while. And, you know, when you get older and you start looking at it with, you know, with your wiser and more critical self, you know, you kind of start to realize that there are a lot of plot holes. Kevin's acting is pretty bad. Or Macaulay Culkin's acting as Kevin is pretty bad. To be fair, though, how old was he? In the movie, he's 8. I don't know how old he was in real life. Yeah. And so I don't know if that's entirely a fair thing to say. I mean, yeah, granted, it's a kid, and they're having amazing kid actors and actresses, but I don't know. I think 8's a little bit young to go off of. And another thing, like, in the end, all you really care about is the end. Like, and that's only... maybe 20 minutes of the movie, if that. And there's like an hour of build up to that is pretty slow. You kind of don't care about. And like I said, there's like a lot of plot holes with it. And so, you know, I tried to like, you know, tune that out and stuff, but... Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I Again, I say it's probably more for nostalgia's sake, if anything. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things wrong with the movie, and I don't know who wrote this movie, but I mean, it's a simple movie. I mean, despite the elaborate traps and everything, it's a very simple movie. The kid gets he's alone. Somebody's trying to steal his house. He's trying to enjoy that freedom that he has while he can.
Yeah.
Then you get get some good traps in there every once in a while. Crooks finally corner him, about to lay down the smackdown on him, and then he gets saved in the end.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the third one?
I have not.
Okay.
No. I had no real interest to see it.
I've seen the third one. I actually like it a lot.
Really?
Yeah. It is really. It's more of the same. It's a different kid actor. But it is the same concept. Okay. I do like it a lot.
Okay. I might check that out then.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. My next pick is Prep and Landing.
Okay. I don't know about this movie.
So this is an ABC original animated short. It's maybe between 30 minutes and an hour. They take this concept. So Santa is on a really tight schedule, right? In certain adaptations of the Santa Claus myth, he's got magical powers, and basically time does not apply to Santa. That's how he makes it to every kid's house in the world, right? In this one, they say, okay, Santa has exactly this amount of time to make it to the house, get in, get out, do everything that Santa needs to do, and move on to the next house. And the way that he does that is that he has a team of elves called the Prep and Landing team who get to the house beforehand.
Okay.
They make sure that the runway is clear for the sleigh to land on the roof. They go into the house to make sure that all of the presents are there, neat and not the presents, because that's Santa's job. They make sure that the cookies are out, that the milk is still cold, that the stockings are open. Make sure that if there are any animals in the house, that they're asleep. Make sure that the kids are upstairs in their beds, drinking with sugar plums and whatnot. Basically, their job is to make sure that Santa can get into the house, do what he needs to do, and get out. And so it just takes this really unique, creative take on Santa Claus's job. And there's pretty cool action sequences of the elves doing their job to prep the house. And I don't want to say any more because I don't want to spoil it, but it is cool, and it's funny, and it's just an enjoyable watch. And like I said, it's pretty short, so you won't lose much of anything from watching it. So yeah,
I might check that out, actually.
Yeah,
thank you for telling me. So my next one is The Nightmare Before Christmas. Now this one is hard for me because I feel like it fits both a Halloween movie and a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
But I like both for both reasons. I mean, I like it for both reasons. So I kind of was an excuse for it to be on my list, but sue me.
I think if you polled the American public, I would say most people would call it a Christmas movie more than a Halloween movie.
Right. That's a fair thing to say. The movie, in case you guys don't know, it talks about how there is this realm that has doors to different worlds, and each world is based off a different holiday. So there's one that leads into Christmas. There's a door for Easter. There's a door for
Hanukkah.
Was it Hanukkah?
I don't know. I've never seen it.
St. Patrick's Day. Oh my god, how did I forget that? Yeah, I was thinking about the clover. Then there's one for Halloween, and in that town, it's Halloween is the big build up of the year, and it's filled with these monsters and ghouls and goblins that aren't that they're scary, but they're not evil.
Are they spooky?
They're a little bit spooky. And it's by Tim Burton, so this has to be a bit of a spooky factor to it. And the person who rules this world is Jack Skellington, who is the Pumpkin King.
Captain Jack Skellington.
I'm gonna pretend you didn't say that. So he's really good at his job. Everybody in Halloween Town loves him. He's a tremendous scarer. He's a legend amongst legends. But he's kind of tired of doing the same thing. I mean, it's always Halloween all the time. That's the one thing that he does. He wants to have a little bit more. So one day after Halloween, he kind of stumbles up into the forest and he finds the doors to different realms. And he sees one with a Christmas tree on it. And he's like, what is this? What's this? And he goes into it. And he's just amazed by the lights and the snow and the candy and the little people. And he's like, you know what? This is amazing. And I want to try this. So the whole movie is about him trying to be Santa Claus, and he wants to do Christmas for himself. And it's a funny movie. It's really amusing. It's a visually lovely movie. The actors are great. The songs are amazing. I love the songs. And then throughout the movie, you kind of feel like, okay, Jack, trying to do what you can, but ultimately he has a heart of gold. And it in the end, it wraps up very nicely. I know that this movie, for a lot of people, it's Jack Skellington has kind of gone into the myth or the kind of like the archetype for kind of emo kids. So I know a lot of like,
oh yeah,
yeah, he's really present in Hot Topic.
Yeah,
but I still love this movie because it's very unique. It's a really good premise for the story of what if these worlds had existed as holidays, and every time we experience it in the human world, it's because they're always trying to plan for the next holiday. So yeah, I don't watch this movie regularly, but I still really love this movie because I first watched it in middle school, and I guess this was my introduction to kind of broaden my horizons to new types of movies. Mm-hmm. And it just really stuck with me. Maybe just because of the songs and the characters, and I just really loved how everybody did everything. And granted, I did play the level in Kingdom Hearts where you go into you go visit Jack Skellington, so that kind of influenced some of it. Yeah. And the opening sequence with This Is Halloween is that has to be one of my favorite sequences in a Tim Burton movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay, my next choice is Die Hard. Now,
very appropriate.
There are some people who will tell you this is not a Christmas movie, and I'm here to tell you that those people are wrong. It is very Christmas-centric. It has a great message of cheer and goodwill towards fellow men. There are presents and Christmas trees and just all kinds of Christmas tropes. It takes place on Christmas Eve. I don't know if that doesn't make it a Christmas movie. I don't know what does. So anyway, this is about John McClane. He is a NYPD police officer visiting Los Angeles to visit his wife who works out there. And as things go on, Professor Snape shows up and he's there to make a potion of badness. Just kidding. Alan Rickman, he is the main villain. He plays a terrorist named Hans Gruber. You may have heard that name. It's somewhat synonymous with like a bad guy character. Or maybe you haven't heard that. I don't know. Anyway, so John is there and by a series of fortunate events, he is in a position to stop the terrorists, and things go from there. So it's obviously it's not a traditional Christmas movie. I won't argue that, but it is definitely a Christmas movie, and it's hardcore action movie. It's a very man's man movie. There's lots.
It's Bruce Willis. How can you not? How can you argue against that?
Yeah, there's guns and explosions and all kinds of bad stuff going on, but yeah, it's a really good movie. I just watched it last night for the first time in a really long time, and yeah, it's really good. The second one, I believe, also takes place around Christmas time. I think the first three Die Hard movies are pretty good, not fantastic. The first one's really good. The second two are not amazing, but I think they're still pretty good. But it's been a while since I've seen them. After that, kind of goes downhill. But yeah, I want to watch the second one again, just cause. But yeah, Die Hard. It's a Christmas movie. Don't let anybody fool you otherwise.
So for my final pick, I have chosen The Polar Express. Now, I don't remember when I saw this movie, but I do remember that when I saw it, I was, for putting it in mild terms, I was very much blown away by this movie. Because visually, it's an incredible movie. Yep. The whole thing's CGI.
Yep.
It's animated in CGI, but they do such a good job of like creating this world of, I don't even know, like the North Pole or the journey to the North Pole. And it has Tom Hanks in it, which is already a plus.
It's got a lot of Tom Hanks.
It's got a lot, and that's, I think, what amazed me the most, is that there's so much Tom Hanks in it.
He plays like 4 or 5 characters.
Yeah,
in this movie.
The ones I know only off the top of my head is that he plays the conductor,
right,
and he plays the weird hobo vagabond guy.
He plays the father of the main character, and he plays Santa Claus.
That's right. He plays Santa. Tom Hanks is Santa. How can you fight against that?
I want to say there's here. You keep talking. I'll look it up.
Yes. So the concept behind the Polar Express, or the premise of the Polar Express, is that there's this boy who doesn't believe in Santa Claus anymore, and it's Christmas time. It's the night before Christmas, and he's just getting ready to go to sleep and saying, "Oh yeah, make sure that you're asleep before Santa Claus comes." And he's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever you say." And he goes to sleep for some amount of time, and then he hears this train coming in, and he looks out, and right in front of his house is a train. And he asks, "What is this train?" when he goes outside, and his conductor comes out and tells him that this is the Polar Express, and we're here to take you to the North Pole to meet Santa Claus. And just from then on, it's just an incredible movie. All the kids on the train they're something else. They're a very diverse, very funny cast. And even when you get to the North Pole, it's just an amazing thing to see, because you just see so much color and so much, I think it embodies the spirit of Christmas really well. And I think the movie does a great job of kind of focusing on that, I don't know, that really pure childhood essence of, as you're a kid, that Christmas time was supposed to be this really special time, and Santa Claus was his, he was this incredibly nice figure that he wanted to do things that were nice to people, and the way that you would get that is if you were nice to people all year long. And of course, as you grow older, you kind of realize that, yeah, that's not really true, that Santa Claus is just a nice little myth that you tell your kids so they'll be nice. And
Spoilers.
I know, right? I'm sorry if I destroyed your dreams that way. But I would have to say, I'm going to say that, when for a lot of kids, that when they realize that Santa Claus isn't real, it kind of crushes their childhood. And for me, I was like, when I found out, I didn't fall to my knees and blubber. But it felt like, I lost a friend when I realized that, Santa Claus wasn't real. And this movie, for me, I think that's why I connected so well with this movie, is just because it showed you, what happens if this man that you hear in legends of for centuries past is actually real, and he does this every year for kids around the world. And then, this is gonna be a spoiler scene, but when the kid, he goes to meet Santa Claus and he gets to sit on Santa's lap, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's in it with me. It's not like I cried or anything. It's just I think it's just sentimentality. It's just this is so it touched my childhood, and I felt like that real, I don't know, surge of nostalgia and innocence again. I'm like, wow, this is what I really remember so much from my childhood, going up to Santa, sitting on his lap and asking him what I want for Christmas. And then the story wraps up, and I love the way it wraps up, because it just kind of tells you that whatever you do, just always believe in even in the unexpected. I'm not telling you guys to believe in Santa, but
believe in the heart of the cards.
Yes, believe in the heart of the cards, and you can overcome the shadow realm. But this movie was really touching. I loved it so much. It's definitely one of my favorite, probably if not my favorite, Christmas movie.
Yeah, so real quick update about Tom Hanks. So he plays the voice of the main character when he gets older.
Right.
And then he plays the father, the conductor, the hobo, a character named Scrooge, who's this there's this one scene where the kid goes into this car where there's all these creepy puppets and stuff, and there's this creepy guy who's in there. That's him. And then Santa Claus. So 6 characters, 1 movie.
Good old Tom Hanks.
I know, right?
He never fails.
Yeah. For me, I actually saw this movie in theaters.
Oh, you're so lucky.
Yeah. And yeah, same thing with Brandon. I really loved it when it came out. The story and the Christmas mystery, and the animation is really beautiful and all that. So the reason this one didn't make it onto my list is because not last winter, but the winter before that, I watched it again for the first time in a while, and you start again, same thing with what were we talking about earlier?
Home Alone.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
You just start to notice these really dumb things that these kids do, and you're like, what are you doing? That doesn't make any sense. And while I still love this movie to pieces, it's just hard for me to watch it now as an adult, and not think about those things, which is totally on me. And it's funny because that's actually kind of part of the movie is you losing a childlike sense of wonderment, which I totally have now. But anyway, still a really good movie. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Okay, my last pick is Elmo Saves Christmas. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Like, Alex, you were just talking about dumb things in a Polar Express. Like, this is a really childish movie. And I would say, what's your point? Is
that you contradict yourself?
It is... Okay, the reason I love this movie so much is because it's a tradition for my sister and me to watch it. We don't get to do it every year, but yeah, as much as possible, we try to watch it every Christmas. Just grab a thing of cookie dough, sit down on the couch, and watch Elmo Saves Christmas. Like, that just it's a fun time. So anyway, the plot behind this movie is it's Christmas Eve. Elmo is sitting in his living room. He's waiting for Santa. He falls asleep, and he gets woken up by the sound of Santa getting stuck in the chimney. So Elmo helps him save Santa from getting stuck in the chimney, and so Santa rewards Elmo by giving him a magical snow globe that will grant him 3 wishes. And so Elmo's first wish with this magical snow globe is for a glass of water, because he was very thirsty. And Santa's like, well, that was a bit of a waste of a wish, but, well, whatever. You do whatever you do you. And so Elmo's second wish then is for every day to be Christmas, which, for
greedy little punk.
For a little kid, Elmo, I believe, is supposed to be like 3 or 4 years old. But for a little kid, that sounds awesome. Like, snow more often than not, no school ever, get presents all the time, so it just sounds like it would be really cool.
Yeah.
But as Elmo quickly finds out, like, there are a lot of downsides to having Christmas every day. Santa and his elves have to work overtime all the time to get all the presents out every day. Businesses are always either closed or they are going out of business because, like, people never
come out to do anything, or they can't sell anything.
Yeah, and so it just becomes a series of really bad things happening because of this wish, and it gets the resolution is unexpected. I'll just leave it at that. So yeah, Elmo Saves Christmas, it's good. Again, like, it's another really short movie. It's like 30 minutes long, I think, and yeah, I
actually might check this out. I don't know, Elmo's always been like one of my favorite characters from Sesame Street. Yeah. Plus, he's got some funky dance moves that you gotta check out.
Okay, you want to do a few honorable mentions?
I think let's do it. I don't know too many. I'll have to look them up. So right. I feel like it's gonna be mostly you. I'll commentate when I can.
Okay. So first, I should say that I acknowledge that I have not seen many of the, like, super classic Christmas movies, like Miracle on 34th Street. I've never seen. It's a Wonderful Life. Never seen it. Nightmare Before Christmas, again, never seen.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I said it when you were talking about it.
I mean, like I said, I have really bad memory.
Yeah, so those will not be appearing on our honorable mentions list. Not to say they're not good movies, just I haven't seen them, so I can't speak to them. Okay, a really notable one is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Mm-hmm. Super classic. Hard to go wrong with it. There are a few things in the movie that are a little bit strange,
right?
But it's good. It's fun. It's a fun little story, and it's got really good old-fashioned claymation, or like stop motion.
So actually, it turns out that I skipped over one because I'm a dummy. I was actually supposed to talk about a Charlie Brown Christmas. Man, I don't even know where to start with this one, because first off, I'm thrown off because I'm supposed to talk about this, and second, because it's Charlie Brown. It's definitely, I know I always say classic, but I think Christmas movies come with it comes with a reputation of being a classic just because, Christmas is a special time for a lot of people, and a lot of people say, like, if you want make a good movie that's going to go down in history, why not do a Christmas movie? And that's kind of true, but Charles Schultz is Peanuts. He's done basically everything with anything with them. Mm-hmm. And
there's one about elections.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, they're all good. Some are better than others, but you can always watch them for a good time. And the Christmas one with Charlie Brown, I think, is a really good one because it has a good message about touching upon, like, whenever you're feeling down during the Christmas time and you don't think anybody's there for you, and also touching upon, what is the true meaning of Christmas? I mean, you hear that all the time, and a lot of people say, like, well, what is the true meaning of Christmas? And a lot of people are going to talk about, like, oh, it's about Jesus. And some people are like, no, it's about presents. And some people are like, Christmas is stupid because why should there be a thing about holidays? Holidays are exclusive and make people feel left out. And this movie, I think it does a really good job of just telling you, like, Christmas is just about, like, no matter what you believe, it's coming together and just making you feel like doing something together as a family.
Yep.
And, there's no other way I can say just coming together, like, as one big family.
Yep.
And, it's funny because, there's the whole sequence with him trying to find the Christmas tree, and he picks the sorriest tree of all time. And then there's the classic, Peanuts dance when they're all, like, jamming out, and Schroeder is, like, on his little piano, and everybody's dancing. And then, there's that one kid that's, like, busting a move, and Pigpen comes in, and he chokes everybody with his dirt. And then Lucy's going around and, like, just being a bossy little punk and saying, like, you do this, you do that. And, like, like I said, anything with Charlie Brown, like with the Peanuts, they always do such a great job with holiday movies.
Yeah.
And, it's, a Charlie Brown Christmas. I feel like it's cemented in my childhood because my mother loves Peanuts. And so she made me grow up on that. And, it always sticks with me. So even though, some days whenever Christmas comes around, I'm like, I don't really want to watch this movie. When it comes on, I like, my inner kid speaks to me. So I have to sit down in front of the TV and watch it. I'm like, man, this is what Christmas is about. Then I'll watch another Peanuts movie. So yeah, I'm really sorry about leaving that out, but I had to talk about it. Yes, it's both an honorable mention and an actual, space in my top 5.
Okay, another honorable mention is Frosty and Frosty 2. Both good, fun, like, just brings the song to life. And that's all I gotta say. Okay, a Muppet Christmas Carol, or Muppets Christmas Carol, something like that. I watched this for the first time last week at the recommendation of one of the guys from CinemaSins, and it is really good. The reason it didn't make it on my list, other than the fact that I like all these other movies and have watched them many, many times, there are points when they try to include Muppet-style humor where I feel like it doesn't really fit. They try to take a lighter-hearted tone with the Christmas Carol, but
right.
There are parts that are supposed to be very somber, and I feel like they tried to lighten the mood too much with their Muppet humor, and that was just a little off-putting. But other than that, it was a really good movie. Michael Caine plays Ebenezer, and he does a really, really good job.
Because he's Michael Caine. I mean, he does a great job at anything. Yeah. I mean, give the man a tangerine, he'll work for a day.
It's funny because my mom always puts tangerines in our stockings.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Let's see, another good one is the last honorable mention I have is Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer.
Oh, I forgot about that movie.
Yeah, this one almost made it onto my list.
I've seen that before. Yeah.
It's again, like it just puts more story behind the classic Christmas song.
Right.
It is really dumb, not gonna lie.
It's a ridiculous premise, but
it's really funny.
It's really funny to see how the sequence of events unfolds in this movie.
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Just
you really have to see it to understand it, and even then, you're not really gonna understand it. But
yeah, that's all the honorable mentions I have. I don't know if you found any that you wanted to bring up.
So actually, believe it or not, I'm looking at a list of like top 100 Christmas movies, and it says here Batman Returns is considered one of those.
Okay.
Which is a very, I guess, strange argument you can make about that, particularly because it wasn't really focused on Christmas. Mm-hmm. You could probably make the same argument that you did with, Die Hard, but even then, again, that's really, really pushing it. But, why not? It's Batman. It's Batman. Let's include that. Did you ever see Gremlins?
It's been a long time.
I've never seen it, but apparently it's on this list too. Hey, what do you know? Die Hard is number 18 on this list.
Hey.
Good job. Did you ever see Elf with Will Ferrell?
Yeah.
I never saw it. People say like, oh, it's
a lot of people really love it. It says
like it's a contemporary classic. You gotta watch it. I'm like, maybe one of these days I'll see it.
Oh, I forgot another one. A Christmas Story.
Okay.
It's for a lot of people, it's like the number one
right.
Christmas movie.
Very much so.
For me, like it just, I had never seen it until like sometime in high school, I think. So it's like, it's a good movie. It's got its funny moments. It's very charming. It's still got the whole meaning of Christmas subplot and what it's all about. And it's a good movie, but it's just not something that I grew up with. And so,
yeah. But
it's still worth a watch. I like to watch it and TBS plays it 24 hours a day on Christmas, so you can, even if you don't sit down and watch it start to finish, you can probably like pick up most of it throughout the day. So,
what about what's it called? Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
I talked about it.
You did?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
What did you talk about it?
It was before you talked about Charlie Brown.
Oh.
You were probably tuning me out because you were trying to figure out if you actually talked about Charlie Brown.
Because, it's like whatever. What's that movie with Tim Allen?
The Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I actually have seen the first one. I haven't seen the other two.
I've seen all three.
I like them. I like it. I like it. The first one.
It's okay.
I mean, it was made by ABC, right? It's an ABC movie.
I think it's Disney. Because it came out.
Still connected.
Well, yeah. But like it was like a theatrical release.
Yeah,
movie.
So. But, I mean, yeah, it's not like, the most memorable, but I really enjoyed it for what it was.
How do you feel about classifying the Harry Potter movies as Christmas movies? Because ABC, when ABC Family was a thing,
I know what you mean.
They had their 25 days of Christmas, and they always played at least a few Harry Potter movies.
I feel like that's pushing it because, I don't agree with it. There are some great Christmas scenes they have in it, so I can't really say like, no, nothing about Christmas ever comes up in Harry Potter. To call them to call it a Christmas movie though, that's really pushing it. I think
I agree.
Maybe just to get viewership up, that's what they put in there. I mean, it's Harry Potter, so I'm not gonna argue if it comes on TV. I'm like, oh yeah, it's not like I'm gonna write a letter to the network saying, not even a letter. Who writes a letter anymore? I'm not gonna write an email to the network.
Tweet them.
Say like, yo, what is this? Like, you're destroying the essence of Christmas because money, man, and you're just doing it for the money and what. I don't even know what I'm trying to say with this, but bottom line, I don't really support that notion. But I mean, I can't tell them what to show and what not to show. I mean, if they decided to show, I don't know, Lord of the Rings during that time, then yeah, I would have some really big questions at that point.
Okay, well, I think that's it for our top 5 favorite Christmas movies.
Kind of shows me that I need to kind of expand my knowledge of Christmas movies.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Once again, it's on my to-do list.
What isn't on your to-do list?
You actually want to see it? I actually have made my to-do list. Wow. Like, in physical form. It's about 30 pages.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah. I have a lot to get done in my lifetime.
Well, it's a good thing you're going to live for a lot longer.
Says who?
I don't know. Okay, well, we didn't get any emails this week, which is kind of my fault. I didn't ask for any, so sorry.
Does it work when you ask for any?
Sometimes. Anyway, but if you want to send us an email with a comment, a question, a suggestion, if you want to let us know your top 5 Christmas movies or previous top 5 things or top 5 of something else, feel free to send us an email, which is abcpodcast92@gmail.com, and we would love to hear from you. But in the meantime, we're going to move into our final segment for the show, which is, of course, the Kevin segment, aka Fanfic Fights. And this week we're going to have the battle of 2 spinning masters.
Okay.
So it's going to be Crash Bandicoot versus the Tasmanian Devil.
All right.
So, do you want to rock, paper, scissors?
We could do that.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. 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 We have one more left. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Yay. So I'm going to go with the Tasmanian Devil.
Okay. And I need to say that this is the Taz from Looney Tunes, not Lunatics Unleashed.
Yeah.
Okay,
I kind of guess that. So who went first last time?
What? It was Iron Man.
It was Iron Man versus Green Goblin.
And you went first.
Yeah, so.
Okay. So Crash Bandicoot is a bandicoot.
Okay, real quick. What is a bandicoot?
Bandicoot, I believe, is a marsupial.
Okay.
Sort of like a dingo,
Mhm.
but not extinct.
Can you say that with an accent, please?
A dingo?
Thank you.
Or did you mean bandicoot?
Both.
A bandicoot?
Thank you.
So yeah, he's a bandicoot. He was genetically engineered to be walking and talking by an evil scientist named Dr. Neocortex, but he then escaped from Dr. Neocortex's lab and was doing his own thing. So, like I said on the build-up to this fight, Crash is a master of spinning. That's his main method of attack against his foes. Is he spins to either knock people or objects over, to reflect projectiles, to interact with the environment, destroy boxes, basically to do whatever it is he needs to get done. He can do a nice little spin. He spins real fast and knocks fools around. In addition to that, he also is very proficient at jumping. He's got mad hops. What else can Crash do? Let's see. He is he has been known to ride vehicles, fly planes, drive boats, shoot guns, fly rocket ships, and beat the bad guys. So yeah, he spins you right round.
You know, when I was thinking of my argument for the Tasmanian Devil, I kind of figured this is gonna be kind of hard to make a good even playing field with. Just because we didn't really give that much of an argument, we just kind of talked about their abilities. But I'm gonna do my best. So the Tasmanian Devil, which is actually a real animal, in case you guys didn't know that.
Yes. Also native to Australia.
Good day. So he is probably one of, if not the most ferocious characters in the Looney Tunes franchise. He is extremely ferocious. He's very, very short-tempered. And he will do anything he can to create as much destruction and chaos as possible. And that usually comes with him coming out of a crate or some kind of cage that he's stuck in, because they need to put him in there for safety. And he'll come out and starts growling, and he makes his own little mini tornado, which will suck in everything in the surrounding area and also pummel through everything that he can. And on top of that, he also has an incredible appetite. So he'll eat pretty much anything in his path as well. Now, between him and Crash Bandicoot, I'd say if this was a fight in terms of who can spin the strongest and who's the most strongest physically, then I'd say the advantage is in the Tasmanian Devils, because that guy can crash through walls like it's no big deal. He's beaten up multiple people on multiple occasions. He's considered a high-level threat in the Looney Tunes universe. Now, that might not be considered, much of a thing because, it's a cartoon. But if you were considered a high-level threat anywhere, you kind of want to be, you don't want to mess with that. Now, I would say that probably Crash Bandicoot has the advantage over him with creativity and wit, and also his ability to be a little bit more technological savvy, so he might be able to pose a bit of a problem to the Tasmanian Devil. However, on multiple occasions, whenever any of the characters try to do something like that or try to outsmart the Tasmanian Devil, his pure brute strength has always found a way to kind of destroy their plans. Now, unless Crash can think of a way to really, really subdue the Tasmanian Devil, because he knows he can't kill the Tasmanian Devil because he's a cartoon, and Looney Tunes do not die.
That is true.
That I feel like this, unless Crash can come up with something in the midst of the battle, this is probably going to go to Tasmanian Devil, just out of, his pure strength and unstoppable, driving force as a monster. See, I told you this was kind of hard to do.
Yeah, all Crash has to do is jump on his head and he'll get knocked out. So, and I'm not saying that's going to be an easy feat, but that's all he has to do.
That could be, but he would have to survive the vortex that Tasmanian Devil creates.
Not really, because Taz, his head, stays in place.
True, but, if you have to... okay, that would have to mean, he would have to get into the eye of the storm, and then he would have to pass all of that.
He could,
Do you know the force that thing creates?
But he has his own spin. He can just spin in the opposite direction
and cancel it out. That doesn't work like that, man.
Does.
That's not how physics works. No, it doesn't.
Okay, well, Brandon and I clearly disagree on this point, but we need to know what you think about who would win in this fight. So again, you can send us an email to abcpodcast92@gmail.com. You could also tweet us what you think. We'll read that on the show too. Email's probably the best way, but Twitter works too. I always like interacting with people on Twitter, which is mostly just me interacting with other people and them ignoring or liking my tweet and saying nothing further. But that's fine. It's,
There's so much salt in that comment.
It's all good.
Is it?
Okay, well, normally this would be the part of the show when I announce the movie that we're going to be watching next. However, because of the upcoming holidays, our schedules are going to be a little bit crazy. So I just decided that it would be best for us to wait until next year to go back to our regular schedule of announcement, wait a week, talk about the movie. So that's what we're going to do. So just watch a bunch of Christmas movies. Brandon and I said a bunch of movies that we both enjoy. So those would be good things for you to watch. But yeah, other than that, we tentatively have scheduled to record a regular episode next week and a special episode.
Which he told me like 40 minutes ago.
I thought that was implied.
No, it was not.
Well, I'm telling you now. So regular episode will go up next week, and then we're going to have a special episode to go up the weekend of Christmas so that Brandon and I can, have the week off. And then
will we now? The
weekend after that, that's going to be New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Depending on how things work out, we may or may not record an episode. So just we'll keep you updated as far as that goes. So just so you all know, that's the current plan, but it's subject to change. Other than that, you can find me on Twitter at AtariAlex. In the description of my Twitter account, you can also find Brandon's username, and you can follow him there as well if you wish to do so. In said Twitter bio, you can also find links to our iTunes and YouTube pages, and you can subscribe to both so that you never miss another episode. And you can also leave us an iTunes review, which helps people notice our show and helps more people find this hilarious and witty and engaging podcast, which is always fun. That would be a really nice Christmas present for us. Yeah. So anyway, thank you all for listening. We hope you all have a good week. Whichever part of the country you're in, don't, freeze to death. And we will catch you all next week.
Bye.